been the tool that allows electrical engineers to excel and outperform the competition. Although Eplan may be part of your vision, you need to know for sure that it's going to work and that you'll be able to show your team. The Eplan guided trial team of experts can help you with this task. This test drive of sorts is not only free, but it includes a real project plan with guidance and support from an Eplan certified consultant. So what are you waiting for? Your journey starts here. info.eplanusa.com/guided-trial.
When we wake up in the morning, the world has changed again. And if change is the single constant of today, whether in automation, digital transformation, mechatronics, or electrical engineering, we should take change as what it is. Chance. Our mission? We want to design the future of engineering. Designing the future means being open to everyone and every idea. We connect engineers, systems, data and disciplines worldwide for machine and panel builders. Designing the future means empowering. We empower engineers all over the world to realize their ideas. Our tools and solutions enable you to maximize your efficiency, customized to your needs, from simple to high-end. Designing the future means being future-proof. We lead the market with more than 50,000 customers and with 19 languages. We offer local support in more than 50 countries. This makes us the global partner for you and your future success. Because efficient engineering is when a plan becomes Eplan. Collaboration means being close to our customers, listening to your needs and your challenges, and understanding how we can help you to plan and shape the future. Let's Eplan.
Hi, I'm Sean Patrick Mulheron. I've been with Eplan for over 25 years now, and I am the product manager for Eplan Pre-Planning, Eplan Fluid, and Eplan Electric P8. We hope that you are enjoying Rockwell Automation Fair at home today. Today we are going to show you how you can start bidding faster by using pre-planning as a tool upfront to capture all of the data necessary to make sure your bid is accurate, and using the system to generate that bid quickly. Please feel free to ask questions in the chat and we'll go through those right away. Thanks again for joining us, and let's go ahead and get started. So today's webcast is going to give you an idea on how to better handle bidding processes and calculating quotes in regards to controls design projects. If we look at today's approach, a customer will typically use a Word document, an Excel file, maybe some Visio drawings or some other kind of drafted graphical elements, and he'll try to combine this information also with his experience and assign prices and times and scheduling to various different items on that particular project, and try and collect that information and summarize it to get a total quote. This is mainly working because the person doing the quote has done a quote multiple different times and is very experienced in the art of putting systems together and understanding what does it take to put them together. The challenge, however, is if the experienced person is not there, figuring out how can we calculate the time needed to design a system, put systems together, attach prices to it, and store that information in libraries where we can reuse that information so the next quote can be accurate and with the same amount of information without always having to reinvent the wheel. And there are not really any tools today out there to be able to help a user do that. And this is why the approach that we want to showcase today is using our tool Eplan Pre-Planning as a planning tool to help users capture controls information early on in the design process, right away, right up close when a operator might be planning a system or asking for some bidding, and easily capture graphical objects, easily capture control systems, easily assign quoting data and reporting that data to actually generate or quote or information for a specific quote. So on that note, we'll jump over to Eplan and then we'll kind of walk through the process and get you a better understanding of how that can work in Eplan. Here, I've opened up the Eplan platform, the Eplan software, and on the left-hand side, you can see I have two pages open, one blank page. I have here my pre-planning tree, which is a logical view on specific objects. So without designing any kind of graphical elements, the first thing we can do is even create a logical tree structure. So we have a structure element, we've got a planning object, so I'm going to use my structure element to define a plant. This plant will have a name, for example, P1. I can add some descriptions if I need to. In my plant P1, I'm going to create a new structure element. It's going to be a set of buildings. So it's going to be building 1. And in this building 1, I will add another structure, which will be area 1, for example. You can easily modify the properties after they've been used if needed. And in this area 1, I'm going to also have a new structure, not for this one, sorry, in the building 1, I'm going to have an area 2. And if you want to, you can even copy and paste an area 3 in there, and the system can automatically help you create a structure very easily. So this is a way to organize the data that you need to create your controls design project. In area 1, I'd like to define a motor system. I need a motor control system, so I need to define that and capture the information associated with it. So in this case, I'm going to create a new planning object. A planning object can really be anything. It can be an actuator, it could be a converter, it could be a machine, it could be a pickup, or you can customize whatever you want. It could be an enclosure, it could be a valve manifold, it could be a conveyor system, it could be a robot, really absolutely whatever you want it to be. You can organize it however you need it to be. So in this case, I'm just going to take a motor, and this motor, I'm going to give it a name, for example, DRV1, drive 1. And this is going to be specific for my conveyor number 1. In this planning object, we see these different attributes. One is expenditure construction, expenditure planning, expenditure software. What do these mean? These are to capture times. For example, how long is it going to take to assemble and build that motor onto my system? How long is it going to take to plan that particular motor, and how long is it going to take to program it? And finally, calculation value is how much is it going to cost. So let's say for this motor, I'm not going to consider just the motor. I'm going to consider the motor plus the cables, plus the terminals, plus the variable frequency drive, and the protection devices all together. And putting that together is probably going to be at least an 8-hour process. So I'm just going to say 8 hours here. For planning the motor, it's probably going to be 2 hours. You have to size it and figure out how long the cables are going to be. And then to program it is probably going to be an hour to identify the function block and put it in the system. And calculation value, those types of motors with the drive, with everything, it runs at about $8,500, and I can capture a value. Now that I've done this, I can use that drive, and for example, I need one for my area 2, my area 3, so I can easily copy this. I can paste it, and I can paste it in my different areas. And as you can see, I haven't done a single page of drawing. All I've done is captured some control elements for my control system. And right there and then, without any further information, I can generate already a preliminary quote. So I'm going to go to Utilities, use my reporting techniques to generate a report, which would be which is a pre-planning object overview. I'm just going to generate this report, and I'm going to put it on page 3. That's it. There's my report, and let's take a look at it. And now what's happened is these 3 objects that I created have been summarized in a report, which is my planning object overview. It could be my quote. I've got my 3 conveyors, I got my planning time, I got my construction time, and I've got a summarized value here at the end for total value of my system. So this already gives me a really good idea in regards to the quote that I want to put together. And if you want to add another 10% on top of that, then that could be your final number if you wanted to. Additionally to that, each one of these drives can also carry I/O information. So I'm going to select all these drives since they're very similar. I can add, for example, PLC I/O. I need an output to start the motor, so it's going to be an digital output. I'm going to start it with contactors, for example. Then I'm going to add 2 more inputs or 3 more inputs for motor start, motor stop, and motor fault. So I can add, if I want to, I can add also a text, motor start, motor stop, and motor fault. And here I could just have this motor run, for example. So these would be the function text associated to these elements. Now, if I ran my report again, I'm going to update this report. And now look at that. It added all of the signals needed for each one of these objects, giving me a total number of signals. So right then and there, I don't have a drawing yet. I just have an understanding of the control systems that I'll need. I also have a number of IOs or signals needed for that particular system.
So there I can already start sizing my PLC system and maybe go to the various different PLC vendors and asking them what type of PLC could support that type of system. So there you can see that pre-planning can be very useful in structuring information, but also capturing certain types of information or data associated to the bidding process, allowing you to bid faster by collecting the information faster and making sure that you've defined it faster. And again, if I had a second building, I could simply copy and paste it, put building number 2. Another benefit is we have what we call templates, pre-planning templates. These pre-planning templates, they can allow you to store a particular drive, like this drive configuration. I could store it in my library of templates. So then when I decide to create a new project, let's say I don't have any conveyors, I'm going to delete these here. And I want to start defining my conveyors, I can go to my library with all of my templates in there, and I can simply drag an actuator in here for A1, take an actuator, put it in A2, take an actuator, put it in A3, and same is true here. I can just run a report, and there you go. You have your quote already done. So using templates with all of the data already pre-stored can be very useful to quickly and easily put a quote together and generate the information needed for bidding. That is using pre-planning for its structure, for its objects, without doing any design. Let's take a look at a design approach. So again, I'm going to delete all of this. And I'm going to remove this particular page. And now let's say I need to design a conveyor system for a manufacturing facility. I'm going to start with a conveyor, so I can use a conveyor macro. So now what we're using is we're using graphical objects. This macro contains the conveyor, contains a motor, contains 2 light barriers, and a cylinder. By using my tab key, I've got 4 different variations, vertical and horizontal at different positions. So I'm going to place one system right here. I'm going to place another system right there. And you can see as I place these graphical systems, the system logically captures again the information associated with them. So in this conveyor system here, you've got a cylinder, you've got 2 sensors, and you've got your motor. And if I look closer to these objects, you can see that the information behind them carries all the information needed for quoting, how much time it's needed to build, to plan, to program, and what it's going to cost. Now I'm going to add a couple of more devices, such as a turntable. I'm going to place my turntable right here. I'm going to add a couple of robots. So I've got a robot system here. Using the tab key, I can orient the robot however I need to. I'm going to put one here. I'm going to put one here. And using my tab key, I'm going to put an oriented robot right here and another one down there. So now what's happening is you're doing a graphical pre-planning. A graphical pre-planning means you're using graphical objects, not just graphical objects, intelligent graphical objects that carry a lot of data with them. And this data can be data regarding bidding or quoting aspects, but also information regarding the PLC layout. So if I just took this system and I decided to go to my pre-planning report, and I would update that report with the new information, now you could see the entire quote or the bid for that particular system. You'd have your cylinders, your light barriers, your conveyors, your robots, and everything is added up to a total sum here at the bottom. And you can see here $84,000 for that system with a couple of robots associated with them. So this is just to give you an idea how pre-planning using intelligent graphical objects can really help you leverage speed and accuracy in quoting specific control systems. Now, the huge benefit is not only it helps you to quote it, but in addition to that, if I look beyond the robot system as an object here in my overview, I can see I have macros associated with it. And these macros can show me what the circuit diagram would look like for a schematic implementation. So not only I have the object for quoting and bidding, but also once I've won the bid, because I'm so accurate and efficient at it, I can also straight away use the information to drive my detail engineering all the way to the panel build and panel manufacturing aspect. So you can add as many different types of blocks. Like, for example, I've got a motor here. If I need to add an additional motor on that particular segment, I can just pop it right here and assign that motor to my second conveyor, for example. Just take it there and hit OK. If I had to choose the size of the motor, I could size it right here. And again, that motor could come with a lot of pre-planning information. I can also select a cylinder. Here's a pneumatic cylinder, and this pneumatic cylinder could also be positioned where I need it graphically, and it also logically is added to the tree or to my structure. I could have some sensors, for example, I need some proximity sensors, and I could just simply drop them here and here, wherever I need them for my particular application. Yeah. So a graphical pre-planning is not much different than what you might be used to today using CAD applications. However, there's a huge difference because the CAD blocks or the graphical blocks, as you understand them, now carry a lot of data with them. And not just bidding data, also graphical data, also logical data, PLC data, and wiring data associated to them. So a lot of information is now tied to these objects and can help you generate quotes a lot more faster, a lot more accurate. And on top of that, by doing that, not only you have a quote, but also you've got an initial view on what the system could look like. So conversations with your customer can be at a complete different level where he can visually see what you mean by the quote that you just provided, making the whole process a lot easier. So this kind of summarizes the approach of how pre-planning, the Eplan solution pre-planning could be used to help companies or engineering generate quotes or capture quoting information a lot more accurately and a lot more efficiently. And again, by the fact that you store these objects in templates, that helps you to remove the experienced aspect where you have to have that person that's done it multiple times and knows exactly the ins and outs to be able to quote the system. The ins and outs of that person are stored in that particular block in the actuator, and all of the information is there, so the user can just drag that information onto the drawing and just leverage that data and just use it from there on forward, knowing that based on the library it's accurate. On this note, I would like to now open the session to questions. So there is a Q&A panel. If you want to open that Q&A panel and you can start asking questions. I'm going to look at the Q&A panel and see if we have any questions in there. So if I want to explain to my boss what Eplan can do, what is the best way to do that? I like the more pragmatic approach of keeping things simple. And if you use CAD today, let's say you use AutoCAD, the approach to that is that, yes, you can do the same work, the result is the same, the difference is the time that it takes to get there. So if you have a project that you need, for example, 3-4 weeks to design, with Eplan, it would literally take less than a week. So the amount of time that it takes to design is really your huge benefactor there, where it's your ROI. Of course, it will take a bit of time to set up and to get to add the blocks that you need and to set up the environment correctly, but you don't have to do it all at once. You can go project by project. So let's say you have one project coming in, you attack that project with Eplan, you develop the blocks that you need for that particular project. Now you look at the next project, and suddenly a quarter of those blocks, if not half of those blocks, are already available, and you don't have to redevelop them. You can just use them and leverage that benefit suddenly. So it's an incremental process to gain the absolute ROI, but there's no doubt in my mind that the way that people traditionally approach an engineering project today from a graphical perspective is not the way to do it in the future, especially if people want to stay competitive and not spend so much time in the engineering process. So if you use other tools like maybe AutoCAD Electrical or even SolidWorks Electrical, the challenge there is, again, is the bottleneck is the underlying tool. These are two mechanical systems that are used as a starting point to do electrical. If you look at AutoCAD Electrical, for example, you will see that it's AutoCAD with a whole bunch of scripts and add-ons on top of it, which make the whole system AutoCAD very fragile in the sense of, what if I add a block which is not AutoCAD Electrical in there, and then you can break the system. So there's a certain amount of fragility in there, and you have to be very meticulous and structured to be able to stay there. Eplan is not that at all. Eplan is really just a database where you just start capturing your data, and if ever you made one mistake, you fix it in one spot and update everything else. So it's very streamlined in the approach to controls design. And as I said, if you want to save time in controls design, really Eplan is the way to move forward with it. Simply what other software packages Eplan in a sense combines into one platform. So pre-planning is one where you have a specific structured tree that allows you to create objects and intelligent objects up front. The second software tool is Eplan Fluid. In this same environment, I'm just going to create a new page, and this page is going to be page 5, but it's not going to be a pre-planning page. It's going to be a fluid power schematics page. So here you could do things like pneumatic diagrams, you could do things like hydraulic diagrams, you could do cooling diagrams or lubrication diagrams. So here you would just open up the page. I can insert some symbols. I'm going to see if we have all the libraries needed in this case. So here you've got your pneumatic library, and you can see your fluid power library with your valves. Here you have a unidirectional valve, for example, so you can just simply drop it in there, and you can start laying out your entire pneumatic system. You can either do it symbol by symbol, or you can use a macro to start combining multiple different symbols. In this case, I'm just going to place a valve, and then I can select what type of solenoid I'm going to use for it. And then it's going to adapt the symbology associated with it. So now this is not a wire, it's considered a tube because it's carrying air. But behind that symbol, you can also add your part numbers, and you can store all of your information regarding your bill of materials, as well as your components for the 3D layouts. Then you have your electrical P8, which is your electrical circuitry. So this solenoid needs to be wired up. So if we go to a multi-line page here, schematic multi-line, schematic. Now I could go to the devices that I created. There's my coil, for example. There's my control valve. Where's that coil? It's actually here. Now where is it? Directional control valve. Let me go back to my page here. I'm going to, oh, that's a graphical object. I need to change it to a cross-reference. So now I can view that device in here. And this device, I can now use it in my electrical drawing. So if I went to my electrical page, I went back to my tree, I could simply drag this object in here and use it as this one here, and use it as a coil in my circuit diagram. So the thing is, the platform provides you multiple different software, so you can have pneumatic, hydraulic, electric, and also your 3D panel layout all in one environment. So here, if I create a new layout space, I didn't really change software, I'm just in the same software, but now I can go into my 3D space and design my control cabinet in 3D. So I could insert here an enclosure, select the part number, and drag and drop that component in there very easily. Let me see if this has a 3D. Yep. I'll take this part, for example, and there we go. So depending on the detail, you can have more or less detail, but now you could identify the backplate and you can start dropping the components in. So you already saw pre-planning for your preliminary planning and layout of your system, hydraulics, pneumatics, which is Eplan fluid. You have Eplan electric P8 for the controls design. Then you have Pro Panel, Pro Cabinet, and those are the major software. You also have Eplan harness if you have harness design requirements, and you have the data portal, of course. The data portal provides you with components for your environment. So if I'm here in the data portal, I can navigate the list of manufacturers, whether it's Allen Bradley, whether it's ABB, whether it's Delta or anybody else. Look for parts. So we can go here to Eaton, for example. I can look at the Eaton catalog. And now we've got electrical products. In this case, we got fuse and fuse holders. And here there's a couple of fuses. So here's the device, and I could use this device directly into my schematics, for example. So the data portal is another application that ties into this environment. But as you noticed, I stayed always in the same environment, same menus, same layout, just maybe different navigators, different views, different page types that help you to manage the data for your entire control system in one environment.
I hope you enjoyed the presentation, and make sure to stop by the Eplan Experience booth at the Rockwell Automation Fair at home and get more information about the exciting products and solutions that we have to offer.
Hello everyone. I want to welcome you to this session with Roland Young from Eplan Canada. This presentation will focus on connected manufacturing, where we will explore the role of the Eplan software in the panel builder's journey, from design to delivery. Roland, the floor is yours.
We actually started today an interesting blog, and I'm just thinking out loud here. I saw this morning, is why should you work with the digital twin? Interesting is this blog here on the Eplan UK website talks exactly about this. Why should we do this all digitally? Well, not only from a design perspective, it's more interesting. As you can see, I'm not even in Eplan. I'm basically here on ePulse. It's our cloud with eView free, so that everyone can actually look up the details, and you can even go and dig a little bit deeper in. If you are interested in information about this MIR part, you can click here on the Eplan data portal, and by click on this here, you open here an additional page. So of course it tells me some details about my browser, but here is some interesting detail provided by the manufacturer on this component. So technically, this is really the digital part that the manufacturer gave me. And we can see here we have some extra information that can be handled. Now, of course, we have a WebEx case here where we want to go back, and there we go. So directly from the project, we go out there. Interesting also is when you look at schematics like this, you have what we call cross-references. And these cross-references, when you click on them, they are actually live. This means you can jump to the other page and you can see what is on that other page. So again, here I'm actually jumping over to a page where we have a couple of additional components. All these components were provided by MIR. If we dig down and we dig into the schematic a little bit further, we can also see that we have some PILS components here. This is one interesting component that is presented today, the PZen gate. WAGO has also presented a couple of interesting objects, components, one of them being actually the Pro 2 power supply. This Pro 2 power supply, as we can see it here, if we open it, is also again provided by WAGO here. I believe this is going to be one of your questions for this event. What is WAGO presenting? The Pro 2 power supply. You can see that in this Pro 2 power supply, we have a 3D and a 2D representation. The 2D representation, I actually use it here for my schematic. Now, what I see also is there's a missing protection. Maybe what you want to do, and while we're here, why don't we just mark it up? We just basically mark up here the missing protection. So here, add a circuit breaker, maybe, or something like that. And of course, if you want to put more comments to this, we can also lock this redlining down by reviewing it and say, please add a 20 amp circuit breaker. And this is going to be a redlining that my users in Eplan will be able to handle as we move forward. So of course, I was just talking out loud here about different things, and here are some other items that were provided, PLC cards. As you can see, sometimes we draw in IC style, top down. Sometimes we draw left to right. It doesn't really matter in Eplan. Eplan is very flexible, has been around since 1984, as well serving the European market, the Asian market, the North American market. So we can pretty much do them all, it's not a problem. And let's see if the cross-references still work here. Yes, they seem to work. So if I work here on my cross-reference, I can see that I jump back and forth between the cross-references. So also quite interesting here is when you are troubleshooting. So technically, if you are looking for something specific, you can troubleshoot based on devices. So here in the GTD, in German the digital twin here that we're talking about, we have a bunch of components. Some of them more detailed, some of them less detailed, just with one single representation. So if I have an issue with that motor overload that is here, right, I can actually see details about the motor overload. I can even see it on a specific bill of material. This is a kitting list that we generate. What is a kitting list? This is the kind of list that you would provide any electrician to go and get all the parts that he needs. So we have here an image of the component itself. So if he's looking for that component in the tray in the stock room, he can actually find it very quickly. I mean, it's nice to have, it's not a must, but you know what? I did not even put any efforts into it because this component, this circuit breaker, this image that you see here is actually coming again from the data portal. Again, it's a smart component. I don't even have to create anything. It's no extra work to have these kind of details. Now, if I want to go back to my multi-line schematic, just go back to my multi-line schematic, and maybe what I'm missing here, as I can see it, is this component here is not yet placed on the panel. So basically, I'll just call it the 3D placement at this moment. This is just my title. More explanation is I could not find the panel layout position or the panel position of this component. Okay, so technically what I'm saying is that maybe he forgot to place it on the schematics and did forget to place it on the panel layout. We'll see how that works. Interesting. And as you can see here, as you move on and you see this, you can also put some green linings into these pages wherever you like what has been done. So technically, if you like the way this is represented and you're fine with it, you can actually put some green linings here. And you can just basically say, this is cool. I'm just going to put a small checkbox here. And you can see my name is there, so it's signed. My name, J-U-N-K, as you can see, is basically pronounced Junk. But junk doesn't go very well. So we use Junk, Y-O-U-N-K. But of course, when I sign officially, I have to sign with my real name. It's a German name, by the way. Fits very well here in this German Technology Day. So this project that is here on the web right now, that was basically for this virtual event, I can actually see all these comments inside Eplan. So let me just put this aside. So close it. And here's my Eplan. And inside my Eplan, I also have access to this same project. You can see here I'm inside Eplan. I have basically the project here opened. And this is the same project. I can now open the project, and interestingly is that as soon as I open the link to the ePulse, eView, I also have a link to my two markups that I created here. And what's nice about this is I can now live see what was marked up. So here the first one was actually the comment, and I can see the details here, please add a 20 amp circuit breaker. How would we do this in Eplan? Well, we have two ways to do it. We can check out here if in the devices we have some sort of a circuit breaker. This could go, right? This is one way. So I want to show you different ways to work because, I mean, there is not one good or bad way to do things, right? So here, if I go to circuit and circuit breaker, of course, we have a couple of different circuit breakers that are listed. And these circuit breakers, we have different companies that can actually service us, right? This is one way we can do it. And we can pick a part number from here and place that part number. And this would be fine, okay? This would be perfect. The question, of course, if we need a 10 or 20 amp, in this case here, I don't necessarily see a 20 amp in the descriptions. So I'm going to show you the second way to do this. The second way is very apparent to what you do typically. You pick a symbol, right? Very simple like this. You say, okay, this is going to be a circuit breaker. Pick that symbol, place that symbol. Actually, by placing that symbol, let me just put that aside. Look at Eplan's wires. They cut automatically. They become two different wires. It's really nice. It does it actually for me automatically, right? So the other thing I can do now is go and check out some parts. Now in here again, I can access the same part library that I just looked at previously. And of course, if I move in here, I will not find the right part number necessarily that I wish to use. But what I can do is I can jump right away into the data portal at this point, right during the design. And I jump to the data portal. The data portal has over 200 and somewhat manufacturers. But of course, right now, as you can see, I'm filtering for circuit breakers. And I'm interested in Siemens as an example. And I'll see here how many circuit breakers we have. 800.
Has joined the meeting.
835 different circuit breakers. Now, maybe I want to drill down to a certain kind, or I want to make sure that I have here some 3D data, whatever. I can filter this down, but I still have 582. So this is really a big list here of components. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to just switch it into a list view here, and I can display these same circuit breakers in this list here, and I can find the one that I'm interested in. Once I have found the component that I'm interested in, you can click on it, you can confirm, yes, this is the one that I want, exactly, and you can just pick the component, okay? If you already know the part number and you're an expert in Siemens, you can just type in the part number up here and boom, it's going to pick the part number. In my case, I was browsing through just to show you a little bit how this works, and it really downloads the part and saves the part information right into my system, okay? Now, if you want to see the parts that are available on the data portal, it's something that is very easy to do. If you go here to, let's say, your, this is just saving here as we move forward. So all the data is saved and everything is saved here. You can see like the description, if I enlarge this a little bit, everything is being saved. But for you as non-Eplan users to actually access the data portal, you don't need anything special. You can just basically type in Eplan data portal, and you can actually get access to the data portal as I just did. And here you can see all the different manufacturers that participate. One of these ones, Siemens as an example, or why don't we go to one that is actually part of the GTD, Waggle, for instance, has over 12,000 parts in here. Well, 170, well, even more. You can see 11,788 parts. Now, they are, of course, organized by part numbers, and you can find all these details just by dragging and dropping. So if you're interested in specific parts, you can just type in the value up here, and the part number will come out, just to see, you know, if the part that you're typically using is actually there. You can also list here a few more. I usually put it up to 500 because, or 200, because it's really long. You can see they're all there, okay? So of course, Waggle has an extensive range of parts, as well as Muir, Bosch, and all the other ones. And this is where I picked up these parts here that you can actually see in my schematic here. Now, just coming back to my revision here, remember, I actually assigned this part number. And now by having done this part number, I can go back here very quickly and say, okay, I basically approve. Okay, I'll just put it in there. This is the typical way when you have multiple steps. Big companies will always have to approve before they do it. And then I can actually write it as marked as done, okay? I would say half done. Why is it half done? Well, because I haven't placed it yet on the 3D, on the digital twin, right? The component was just added in here, but this guy here, this power supply, is really placed itself here in the digital twin. Now, I jumped right away into the GTD itself, but why don't we look at the overall digital twin? This is a smart panel. Every component in here is also linked back to the schematics. How was it linked to the schematics? Very easy. We make actually things easy in Eplan. So what we do is we, let's say, focus on the panel layout itself, and then we can zoom in and we can check out the components. And we also have a list, a specific list of items that were or weren't placed in the schematics. We have this list here. We can even filter down this list to something like, I want to see everything that is not yet placed in a GTD. And of course, that circuit breaker we just talked about is here. This is the small circuit breaker we just talked about. It isn't placed yet. If I actually drag and drop it out, right? I just take that part number, just drag out, I can now see, okay, where could I place it? Here? Could I place it up there? Would it be nice to be down there? I can even actually activate a connection preview. This is interesting because when you do so, you can see, oh, hey, this component is indeed connecting between here and here. So would it be smart to place it there? Would it be smart here? There isn't really much room, but it could be nice. If I place it up there, I'm basically adding more wires. Well, why don't I place it where I originally intended to place it? This is where I want it. Boom, right there. And it's going to be placed. And of course, if I want to drill in and I want to see what kind of wiring is actually generated from here, you can see these are the wires that are actually being generated to connect all the wires. Now, I'm thinking a little bit further. I still have a couple of components out here that haven't been placed. One of them is actually a bus bar component. The bus bar components are interesting because we create these bus bars and we can just, as you can see, it auto snaps right into position there and it places the component right there. It disappears from my list. And now I just have to place a couple of leftover components. Let me just place this one here. Okay, I'm just going to place it. And I'm going to place it maybe a little bit further over here. And I know that this component back in the schematics, let me just jump to the schematics so you can see what I think about. This is the bus bar connection. It is actually to be connected to CB1, the CB1 that is there. So we have some wires that are connecting these two, okay? But coming back here, I'm going to drag it actually pretty close. I don't want to put it too far. And this type of component is actually a component, well, rather this component, that I would feed, but more with what we call here, let me just move this down so you can see it, with a free routing. So what this does, it basically takes the wires and puts them there. It's not nice because we can see it's a little bit torquey here on the edge. So maybe if we just take this component again and move it, delete it. We're not really deleting it. Don't be scared. It reappears here in the list. We're just removing it for the moment. And what I'm thinking of doing here very quickly is in this digital twin, I'm going to modify this stretch a little bit shorter like this, okay? And let's see if we cannot put another mounting rail, very similar mounting rail than this one here. You can see these are mounting rails, standard mounting rails from different manufacturers that have them, right? And I'm just going to place it here, but I'm going to place it vertically. And what happens when I place it vertically, I may actually help myself for the wiring. Let me see. I place this. You can see it actually rotates like this. Let's put it up there. That's even perfect. And let's do the connection again. Let's do the free routing. Boom. Ah, that's nice. Okay. Well, maybe these components here, they take up a little bit of space. They haven't been connected yet. So why don't we take those and make this space a little bit more like available, right? So this is something that you can easily just drag and drop, put over here, and have those ones connected there. Okay, so it's not a problem. You just rearrange it. And this is really, I think, the big power of the digital twin, because now I can move, I can see if everything fits, and it does fit, and it makes a very nice drawing. So at this point in time, we have some overloads here. These overloads, I'm going to see if I can fit them here. So I hope to be able to fit them there. It's not long enough yet. So again, I shorten this a little bit too much. Let's just put them there. This is cool. This is a network connection, so we can also move this one over and put it next to other network connections here, right? And then we start again, and we just move it over. We place them 1, 2, 3, 4. You can see that even the connections, the power connections, are actually nice and dandy. And I just have a few extras here that actually are placed there. Boom. And it's done. So I rearranged, this is my second edition. I rearranged my panel. I can now do the evaluation of the routing. I can actually look at all the wires and rebuild the wires and see how they all fit. This actually recalculated the wire length for the next step that we wish to use, is actually fabricate the wires and really in the intention of installing this panel entirely. So here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a little bit the kind of production reports that I can generate to help the people down on the shop floor. Now, I'll let the system run here an update. We call it generate project update. In the meantime, I will actually very quickly just come back here to my PowerPoint presentation that I had. And this portion here is the so-called digital production process. So we're in step number 3. We created the virtual engineering with ProPanel 3D. So we created 100% digital twin. We validated that everything fits because we actually could see it. We didn't have to really produce it to actually see it wasn't fitting. We adapted all our items, and now we can proceed with the digital production. Of course, the ducts and the rails, except for 1 or 2 ducts and rails, haven't been modified too much. Holes, I haven't really modified too many holes because I only added like a small portion of a DIN rail. But really where things changed is in the wire fabrication. And technically, if you really dig into this and you do stop with a stopwatch the production process and you check it out, how much time is actually spent on each of these different topics, you will see that in the process of building your panel, the wire processing and the wiring, these 2 items here, we can't see them very well, but these are 2 of the main aspects, is actually taking up more than 50% or 49% of your time. And think about it, cutting a wire, crimping a wire, putting on the correct label, and then place it on the panel itself takes a lot of time. So we can help you on that side. So on Eplan's side, of course, if I go back here to Eplan, you will see this is a process that I don't necessarily have to touch. It actually runs in the background, and it updates all these different reports I pre-selected ahead of time. So some of these reports, starting with the very first one, will be used to generate a kitting list. A kitting list is nothing else than a simple list. And you can see here I have 180 pages right now in this project. I'll just drill it down to the GTD pages. Okay, so this means the panel that we're interested in, I named it GTD because that's our digital twin. And here is the first page that is interesting. The first page is actually here, this parts list. This parts list will actually show you all the parts one by one that have been placed in this panel. It's quite surprising that being able to place 25 parts in this list, that I have so many different parts in this one small panel. Of course, for every manufacturer comes most of the time a nice picture for the component, detail, so we can see here the detail of what you have to pick up. So when you go to the stock room, you know exactly what we're talking about, okay? And you can pick this and put this in a bin. The second aspect I was looking at, and we didn't really change too much on that side, was actually the the shortening here of these rails, you know. So technically, I didn't do much here, so no big deal, but it's updated. The documentation here is updated. You can see basically the different rails. You can see here the details. I could even add some more details if I wanted to, but my intention was actually not even to have anyone touch this, but to transfer this to a machining process that Andre will actually talk about a little bit later, right? So I didn't even want to do this by hand. But of course, let me just show you, if I have to do this by hand, because I don't have the volume, nor do I have the machine that we will be talking about, how can I actually put that data into a decent list that actually could help me? And in this particular case here, we're in our step number 2, and this is basically a form. It's the same information as the previous form, except if we zoom in, you will see a lot more details. On this one here, if I zoom in, you will see for every cable duct, for every DIN rail perforated, you will see its part number, you will see its length, its identifying portion, how I named it. So you can actually also go in front of a cutting machine and pre-cut these items. You don't need the machine, you could do it by hand. Okay, so these details are one-to-one updated based on what I did in the digital twin. If I change something, this gets changed automatically. From now on, this detailed list will be in this table here, and if I do any kind of change, the change will show up here. Then there is the cutout. Of course, some people talk about a drill template. This here is a drill template. Not only does it actually show you every hole for every component, including the reline that we have at the top there, it also shows you the details if you have to punch them manually. Of course, my intention is not to punch them manually. My intention is to take this project, send it over to the mod center, and inside the mod center, they can just run it on the machine. Andre will show you a little bit more details about this Perforex machine that takes every detail that you see here, chews it up, and drills the holes. So no extra time, but a delivered backplate, and better than this, even the front door. If you remember correctly, in the front door, we had a couple of components. These components required holes, and they are now in here, okay? Now, the other thing, last but not least, is actually the assembly part. The assembly part is where I concentrate on assembling the whole backplate. So, of course, if I look at the full-blown detailed view, like this view here, this view is nice, but it's way too detailed. Way too detailed. Why? Because I have way too many components on here. So let's change this view a little bit. I have a more adequate view. It's this view here. If you want to see the details, just zoom in on this and you'll see all the details. But technically, I have now here listed all the devices in a more readable format with a device tag, a position. So basically, you can apply the labels. I can also provide you. And you can put these components on here. And if you're curious about what component this is, just look up in the list here and I will tell you which component is what part number. So it's really a pick list for any of the electricians down on the shop floor to just place the components in the right spot, right? Now, this is, of course, the portion of assembling the components onto the panel. There's one last aspect that I'm very interested in, is also the aspect of the wire fabrication. So here in the wire fabrication, I have a list of wires. Now this list of wires, for the moment, it's the overall list of wires, but you can see if I drill into it, it's sorted by colors, and you can see for the color blue, a certain gauge here, 18 American wire gauge, you can see all the different wires I need and I require, and it actually has the length of the wire, it has the source and the target, and again, the intention here is to have this list prefabricated. Whenever I have a length, this means that I have it routed in my panel, And if I have a length, as you can see, A2 another panel has not been routed. The GTD has been routed. You saw it earlier. So I can concentrate on this and prefabricate these wires. And again, Andre will show you how this can be manufactured into a wire terminal machine provided by RAS. So it chews up the information, cuts the wires, and in the ideal world even puts a label on there, which is the label that I assigned automatically in my tool here. So I think I did a very quick wrap up of, a smart design, or how in our world the connected manufacturing is done, starting with a smart part in our data portal. So from design, you can push that data down to delivery. If your design is not efficient and not smart, using smart components, at the end of the day, you cannot deliver smart components.
Hey, I'm Johnny Wilson with Eplan USA, and today let's go through the top 5 questions that were submitted to the Eplan Solution Center in July 2020. Number 5, I cannot find my alignable accessory in my parts database. So I'm going to add some alignable accessories to this terminal strip here. So I'm going to select this terminal strip in the terminal navigator here. So let's go to right click and go to edit. And if I select the terminal I want to edit and go to add alignable accessory, I can see I've got 3 different accessories I can select from. The part number I am wanting to look for is this EBJ16, and as you can see, it is not being found in this alignable accessory list. So this is because a property has not been enabled to tell Eplan to use this as an alignable accessory. So to do this, we can go to our parts management. So go to utilities, parts, and then management. I'm just going to look for the part. So this is this EBG16. And if I go to properties, if I check this alignable box here, click apply and then close, it's going to ask me to synchronize the parts database. I'm going to hit yes. So now when I go to edit the terminal strip and add the alignable accessory, you'll see I'm going to have this EBJ16 here. So I'm going to click OK, and as you can see, the accessory has now been aligned, and I can move the position up and down depending where the accessory needs to be placed. Number 4, I've assigned a part to a cable, but the conductors are no longer in the correct order. How do I correct this? I'm going to assign a part number to this cable. So let's go to right click and go properties, and then use the device selection, and I'm going to use this cable here. As we can see, we have 4 conductors in total with numbers 1 through 3 and then a green and yellow for the ground. I'm going to assign the cable using this arrow. As I can see, all the functions have been assigned. I'm going to click OK, and let's hit apply, and let's hit OK. As you can see, the numbers for the conductors of the cable have been assigned to each wire, but it looks like it's ordered them incorrectly. So why is this? If we have a look at the terminal strip that this cable is connected to, we can see it goes 1 through 4 in the numbering scheme, but let's take a closer look. So if we look at this terminal strip, we can see the order of it goes 1, 3, 2, and then 4. So let's correct that by going to right click and edit. And what we can do is sort the terminal strip based on numeric values here. And then we can hit apply. And now to update the cable, what we can do is go to the cable navigator. And then we can right click on our cable and go to assign cable connections and reassign all. Once we do this, we get the correct sequence of conductors. Number 3, how do we create a title page and how do we edit that title page? So first I'm going to create a title page by going to utilities, reports, and then generate. I'm going to use this new button here, and then I want to select title page / cover sheet. And click OK, and I'm going to use this drop down here to browse for the title page I want to use. So this is the form we're going to be using. Let's hit open, and let's click OK. And page name 1 will work for this. So let's hit OK, and then once we've done that, we can use this generate report button here. So once I've done that, I now have a title page. So to edit this, what we can do is go to Utilities, Master Data, Form, and then Open. What I want to do is use the form that I selected earlier and click Open. And what I can do is start editing this form. So to replace this image, I can go to Insert, Graphic, and Image File. And I'm going to look for a new image here. So I'm going to use this Eplan USA image. I'm going to copy it over, and I'm just going to place it here. Click OK. I'm going to get rid of the old one. And now when I close this form, it's going to ask me to synchronize. So I hit yes. And now you can see it's automatically updated my form to be this new image. Number 2, we find a part that's not in our database. How do we create it on the fly? So let's go to Insert and then Symbol. And I want to use this fuse holder here. Click OK. I want to place it here. And then I want to look at the symbol and function data. As you can see, we're using this particular symbol and has been assigned a safety fuse as the definition. So let's go to the Parts tab and give it a new part number. So I'm going to give it ESS for Eplan Software and Services and call it this part number here and click OK. Once we've done that, we can right click on the device and go to Generate Part. It's going to open our parts database where we can fill out all of the information we need for this part number. If we look at the function tab, you can see that it's adopted the function template that was assigned to the symbol. So let's press apply and close. We have now successfully created the part. So if I go to Insert and Device and I search for that part number, I can now insert it into my schematic. And as you can see, it's got the assigned parts data that I filled out earlier. So number 1, if we download a part from the data pool and we do not like the macro, how do we quickly and efficiently edit that macro? So I'm going to download a part from the data portal. Just search for the part quickly. Use this button here to import it into our parts database. So I'm going to update anything that exists in my system and then close the data pool. I'm going to insert the part I just downloaded, so I can search for that IA16 here and then click OK. So when I'm placing it in my schematic, I can see that Eplan is prompting me and telling me to use variant E. If I hit the tab key, I can cycle through all the different variants. So here's variant I, and then back to A, B, and then finally back to E. So if I don't want to use any of these variants, I can hit the backspace key and then select individual functions. So by doing this, it's going to look at all the individual functions that have been assigned to this particular part and then run through them as I place them. So I'm going to hit OK, and I'm just going to draw my first point of this PLC box. So I'm just going to draw it out here, and then it's going to allow me to place all the PLC connection points here. So I'm going to quickly place them all. So once I've placed all the inputs, I can right click on the PLC box and go to Synchronize Selection. So looking in the device navigator, it's going to show me that all the PLC inputs have been placed on a multi-line. So what I can do is drag a box over everything and right click and create window macro. So I want to give this a name, and I'm going to call it ESS_AB, and then click OK. So now if I double click on this part, I'll go to properties, I can look at the part number here, and use these three ellipses, we can navigate over to the technical data, and we can look at the macro that was assigned to this part. So using these three ellipses, I'm going to use the new macro I created, as you can see here, and press open and click OK. So it's going to say, do you want to synchronize? Hit yes, and then click OK. So now when I insert the part again, it's going to be using the new macro I just assigned to it. So as you can see, I'm using variant A, and this is the only variant that is created right now.
Hi, my name is Roger. I've been with Eplan for almost a year now, and I am an account manager for Ohio and Kentucky. What I have seen at Eplan that makes this job really fun is that when I call up a customer, whether it's somebody I've known for a while or somebody brand new to me, they're anxious to hear how we can help them improve their engineering efficiency. That makes my job a lot easier and a lot more fun when somebody actually wants to talk to you instead of just they think you're trying to sell them a product. So that's been great for me. When I met all the people in the office in Schaumburg, I was really warmly greeted. They were excited to have somebody new building business for us and just a different face in the organization. And it's been really fun to work with all these people because we've even had some Friday happy hours virtually, and it's really been fun to get to know everybody. During this virtual world of business, one thing I've learned is that people are a little more down to earth and informal. And that's actually been kind of fun. You see people's dog running, you hear dogs, or you see the kid run by in the video, or you see personal things behind people like here. And that's actually been kind of fun. It helps people open up and be a little more relaxed. One of the things that I've seen in Eplan is we have support engineers, consultants, and salespeople all throughout the country. And what I've learned is that it doesn't matter where they're located. Our support has been just as good with a consultant in Texas and an engineer in Oregon, or somebody here in our local office in the Detroit area. It doesn't matter. We're getting the same level of support for customers, and they're very happy with that so far. I would suggest initially checking out the Watch Eplan Live, because that's where you're going to see some of our consultants and engineers actually showing you how to do things and how Eplan works. And that'll give you probably your best exposure to what Eplan is all about, how it can help you. All right, well, thanks for visiting the Eplan booth, and we hope you really have getting a lot of knowledge from this, and come back to us for any help you need and additional information.
Hey, I'm Johnny Wilson. I work for Eplan USA. I'm based out of Seattle. My favorite part for working for Eplan is that I get to work with new customers with having new challenges every single day. And it's great discussing their problems and delivering a solution that is custom and bespoke to that customer in particular. The coolest benefit from working with Eplan is I get to take away manual and laborious tasks away from the engineer, and he can focus on better tasks in his engineering.
Hi, I'm Joanna Pruden, and I just wanted to share a little bit about my experience with Eplan. So one of the greatest parts about working with Eplan is that we help all different types of customers. So we aren't tied to just one industry, so therefore neither am I. I spend a lot of time in front of my customers in their factories, in their shops, and getting to learn about every industry pretty much in the world. So we are a very hands-on company. We audit your processes. So the trade-off for that is that I see something new every day. It's always something different. And I interface with people from all different walks of life doing all different things. And it's pretty great. So for me, the best part I think that our customers benefit from comes from my background. I spent about 12 years in the process industry. And repeatedly, I would deal with the challenges of a customer referencing a drawing that had been updated in the field, but not updated in the records, or a customer was trying to swap out an instrumentation piece in the field, and that piece is obsolete or doesn't fit into the enclosure, or some version of that challenge. And inevitably, the documents don't match what's in the field, always. Even if parts of the documentation package is updated, not everything is. With Eplan, it's seamless to update a part. If you update a BOM, the drawing's automatically updated. It works hand in hand to where those challenges are gone. And what's done in the field is updated once, and every part of that document is updated. It's time-stamped. You know when it was changed. If you do have to replace a part, the data portal gives you a drop-down menu of what parts are drop-in replacements. You can easily match up the specs right in the data portal. So those maintenance issues are no longer challenges just to find out what's there. It really does become a guided design process versus just a document with a drawing.
Sean O'Brien. I'm sales manager at Eplan USA, representing the Eastern United States, and I'm based in the Detroit, Michigan office. Been with Eplan almost a year now. And what impressed me most about Eplan when I joined is the amount of experience that we have on our team here. I mean, we have some really, really experienced, seasoned individuals, and at times it seems like we're almost a consulting organization and not a software organization. And we're able to really have deep discussions with our customers, and sometimes it seems like we know as much or more about our customers' business than they do sometimes. So I think that's really cool and really unique about Eplan. Things that people might not know about us is that, a lot of our expertise is, we kind of divide it up based on the industry that our customers are in. So whether the customer is in automotive or shipbuilding or building technology, we have at a global level and a local level, we have teams of experts that are focused on that industry and can speak intelligently to it. So it's, we get very, very specific in our areas of expertise. I thought that was pretty cool. I would recommend that customers check out the cloud engineering area. Cloud engineering is something that we are devoting a lot of our resources to and a lot of our R&D spend on, and it's something that obviously we see as part of the future for the industry. So there's a lot of cool things in there, and it's very easy to get started whether you're an Eplan user or not. And there's things in there for collaboration and automation, and I just think that's very interesting. Be sure to check that out when you're there. Thanks for visiting the Eplan booth. Hope it was interesting and worthwhile.
Hello everybody, my name is Ahmad Omari. I'm a business exploration manager here at Eplan USA. My favorite part about working at Eplan is the energy. Eplan is a very lively place with all sorts of innovation happening across almost every facet of the organization. We think this is because of you, our customers, our prospects, our partners, and this is all of the energy that you bring to us that make this place such a great place to work. Thank you for that. I know it's been a challenging year. I hope you guys are enjoying the fair. I'm sure there's a lot of really, really great content coming up from Rockwell Automation and Rockwell Automation's partners. We hope you visit us at the Eplan booth, and we hope to see you soon. Thank you very much.
Engineering is going through a real revolution. Cloud computing, the Internet of Things, and data integration have a huge impact on industrial production systems. An efficient exchange of digital data between the different engineering phases is necessary to prevent disruption. If you want to work efficiently, you must think in an integrated way. That starts in the concept phase. Thanks to the digitization and modularization of engineering data, you can immediately start with conceptual design. This smart customization ensures substantial time savings, better estimable offers, and sharper delivery times. Smart engineering stands for a smart connection of electrical, mechanical, and software data. Thanks to one virtual prototype, everyone speaks the same language. It opens the door to smart production. The digital twin with 3D info and other smart data ensures smooth communication between man and machine. The better and more accessible information is built up in the concept, engineering and production phases, the less time you'll lose later on in case of downtime. You can also store everything in the cloud, so everyone has direct access to the right digital data at any given time. It's crystal clear. Working in an integrated way creates added value, shortens the lead time of your projects, and reduces downtime in case of a breakdown. This way you create a great added value for your product. Do you want to know how you can do this? The different solutions within the Eplan platform support you towards an integrated engineering and production process. Your digital transformation with Eplan.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the Eplan Live. My name is Hanan and today we'll be joining with Kim and Sean from Eplan USA. How are you guys?
Good, Hanan. How are you doing?
Excellent.
Doing well, Hanan.
Hello, how are you? So guys, before we start, I just wanted to get a quick introduction from you guys as far as like what you do at Eplan and a little bit about yourself.
Yes, my name is Sean Patrick Mulheron. I've been with Eplan for over 25 years now. Started at the headquarters in Germany in 1993 and moved to the US in 2000. I was part of the technical team doing support, consulting, and trainings. And since 2013, I've been part of the product management team. And now today I'm responsible for Eplan pre-planning, Eplan fluid, and Eplan electric P8. This job is fun, and I've been enjoying it ever since and looking forward to many more years with Eplan. And as you can see in the background there, this is the automation fair picture or booth that we had last year. So unfortunately, this year it's very empty due to COVID, but I think the virtual meetings will have to suffice for this time around.
My name's Kim Schroeder. I have been with Eplan for not quite as long as Sean. I'm a little over a year now. I started out in automation, selling hardware for a distributor. I graduated with an engineering degree, and since then have been in the controls automation space for a little over a decade now.
That's awesome. Well, I just wanted to say thank you to both of you for joining us today. Now, I wanted to kind of dive deep into the topic of CAD design and this controls design. So based on like the experience that you guys have had in this industry, what would you say is the reason that most electrical engineers are still using CAD tools for controls design?
Well, the reason is more of a historical reason. Ever since computers were introduced to help users design more efficiently, it was primarily focused on the mechanical department. And mechanical tools were created to help designers lay out all of their mechanical aspects. So mainly 2D at first, and eventually nowadays the mechanical designers use 3D tools to lay out all the mechanical systems. The controls department was always a kind of second-hand department in a sense where they just used the tools that the mechanicals guys used. So the 2D CAD tools or drafting tools were handed down to the controls designers for them to do their work. So in a sense, they are using a computer to design. However, they are just drawing graphics in a CAD environment And from a controls perspective, it's very limited to their ability to improve in a sense. So the historical aspect kind of forced them into that environment. And today they've just been doing it for so many years using CAD that they don't really look, or they haven't really thought of looking at better tools or better systems to help them be more efficient, have to do less manual work, and it's kind of just work as it goes and not necessarily looking for better options.
Yeah, and I think in addition to that, Eplan has done a really good job of finding that need in the market and creating a better tool for engineers to use, an actual smart, intelligent tool that will store their data as they design and build electrical systems.
Awesome. So kind of to go off of that, what would you say are some current challenges when using CAD tools for engineering electrical systems?
Well, control systems design requires a lot of cross-referencing, a lot of placement of components on multiple different sheets, a lot of management of parts, a lot of various tasks that go above and beyond the simple controls-aided drafting aspect, so the graphical aspect. So one aspect is the graphics, which are the schematics and the symbology and the lines. However, there's a much deeper aspect, which is the intelligence, the logic behind it, understanding the connectivity of the circuit, tagging the devices, cross-referencing between the pages, managing multiple pages, labeling all the wires, making sure your bill of material is accurate, making sure it matches what you've got in your schematics, making sure your panel design is synchronized with the schematics, is synchronized with the bill of materials. Those are all tedious tasks today that when using a CAD tool, you have to manually go through each and every one of those steps. And there's a lot of checking and rechecking and verifying and validating to make sure that there are no errors. And despite of all the checks, at the end of the day, the documentation still has errors. And when you start building that system, then of course you're only as good as the documentation. So you have to have highly qualified people at the end to help you put those cabinets together, even though the documentation is there. So many different challenges along the entire engineering design that are attributed to the use of CAD tools, of CAD systems, because there is no intelligence. It's just a graphical system.
Got it. So based on those challenges that you mentioned, what kind of tools would you recommend users try, or what is necessary to help users design more efficiently?
Well, Eplan was founded on the approach that a control systems is not a graphical system. It's a database-driven system which allows users to graphically create objects and logically connect these objects together to create a circuit, to create a system. And by using a database-driven approach, you are able to automate a lot of the tasks that CAD designers do manually today. So if you place a symbol, it's automatically labeled. If you place another part of that symbol on a different page, a cross-reference is automatically generated. If you place two symbols next to each other, the wire is automatically created. The wires are labeled automatically. You can assign parts to the devices, so automatically your bill of materials is created. And then you can just drag and drop those parts onto a backplate that links the parts to the panel layout, to the schematics automatically. So all of these tasks that are done today in a CAD environment are completely automated through database-driven systems or data-driven systems. So the focus for us in Eplan specifically is the data and not the graphical view.
Understood. And so, Kim, I had a quick question for you. I know you work with a lot of customers throughout the country, and how exactly does Eplan differ from other competitors? What I wanted to ask is, how does Eplan create value for customers? How do you help people understand the value and the solutions that we offer as Eplan?
Sure. So I would say a lot to Sean's point, but I would say the main feature is Eplan can save you time and money. That's where it's really going to drive down to. As an engineer, you spend a lot of time with some of the things that Sean has mentioned, like access to our data portal so that when you graphically draw a circuit breaker, you're not just drawing a circuit breaker, you're actually bringing in a smart technology piece that that comes in with everything that it needs, you know, the width of it, the height, the amperage, the power, the connections. Engineers are spending time looking for tech data sheets. That's all brought in from the data portal. By the click of a button, you have automatic generated reports like bill of materials, drilling patterns for cutouts of a back panel, you know, wire labels, tagging devices, the interconnection, all those things. I think, you know, when you see the product in action, it's an easy sell because of all those things.
Got it. And you mentioned the topic of the data portal. Really quick, can you help us better understand, like, what does a data portal consist of and who is it for?
Sure. The data portal is actually free for everyone. You can just go right onto Google and type in Google ePlan data portal. You'll need to sign up with an email address and a password, and then you can go in there. In the data portal, I would say there's, you know, close to hundreds of manufacturers, 1 million parts. And what that does is that as you design, you can actually bring in your real life bill of materials. So instead of designing, oh, this is a circuit breaker, you're bringing in a circuit breaker made by Allen Bradley. And you know that circuit breaker's dimensions again, you know, the width and the height, so that when you're in Pro Panel and you're building it, you have all of your clearances. None of that information needs to be figured out, because when you use an intelligent system like ePlan, you bring all that information in when you drop the circuit breaker. It's really good for heat dissipation. All that information lies within the tech data sheet, so then you know how much heat is dissipating from, you know, hot objects like a PLC or a VFD, things like that. It gives you your drill pattern, so you don't have to figure any of that out. And it's got 1 million parts, all of Allen Bradley, both in NCFA or IEC and NFPA are all in there for users. And go check it out. It's all available right now for free for you.
Awesome. So basically, a user can log in, get the parts data straight from the manufacturer, and plug it into their current project within a click of a button.
Yes.
Awesome. So that really does, I mean, just from looking at a third perspective, that really does help somebody kind of increase their efficiency, I guess you could call it, immensely. So that's really cool. Now,
and one more thing, that I wanted to add is when you bring things in from the data portal, then if you know you keep using the same contactor with auxiliary or something, you know, those parts can save to your local database. So you can have local libraries of parts that you use over and over again, so that you're not always up in the data portal pulling down parts. They now can live on your machine.
So it basically standardizes your workflow. And then would you say it helps, like, users on the shop floor, for example, like communicate better? Because from what I'm understanding, this is all through the cloud?
Yeah, so the data portal does live on the cloud. You know, it's accessed from any internet connection that you have. But when you're working in ePlan and you pull things from the data portal, it lives in your local library within the software. It can definitely help people on the purchasing aspect of things and people on the floor, because you've already, as the engineer, chosen your parts that you choose for the electrical system. And another aspect, it helps people spec things in and keep your spec. When you design on the engineering level and you pick products like an Allen Bradley PLC, you know that when you click that button to populate your bill of material, there's no interpretation. You have the part number that you've chosen for the system you've designed.
Awesome. And then one more question I have for both of you is, other than the data portal, which sounds like it does a great job in terms of helping the workflow of any project that you may have, what are some other ways that ePlan can help you design more efficiently? Like, what are some softwares or tools on top of the data portal that help users become more efficient?
Well, one aspect we were talking about earlier was the CAD aspect, and if you look at the CAD aspect, it's 2D. So from a schematic perspective, the design of the 2D is done. However, one thing that has been taken over by the mechanical environment is 3D. And so far, the controls engineers never really got into the 3D world because the tools that they use are so complex. I mean, if you try to go into a 3D environment, you have to know how to extrude, you have to know how to manage all of your geometries and everything like that. But in the controls environment, what you need is you can still use 3D. However, you just need a simple tool to be able to take the parts that come from the data portal, as Kim mentioned, and you just want to snap them on a DIN rail. You just want to make sure the clearances are okay. You want to lay them out on a back plate by simply dragging and dropping those components. You want to place a push button on the door. You want to see how deep it goes inside of the cabinet, or an HMI. You want to make sure that when you close the door, it doesn't smash into the PLC in the back. So all of those clearances can only be determined in a 3D environment. And today, the controls designers don't have any tools for that. And this is where Eplan Pro Panel comes in. It really provides you a simplistic 3D environment where you grab the parts from the data portal or any other 3D model. You simply insert them in the control cabinet. Using the schematics, it'll auto-wire all of your wires inside the control cabinet, so you can leverage the information you have, combine it with 3D to create the digital twin for your control cabinet. So it makes it a lot more efficient to lay out and design control cabinets.
Very cool. So really quick, you mentioned the term digital twin. What does that mean? Like the project that I have, I can create a clone of it in 3D?
The digital twin means that all of the information you have regarding that control cabinet has been digitalized. And there's a big difference between digitizing and digitalizing, because digitizing is like scanning a document. All you have is pixels on a piece of paper or in a system, and you don't have any intelligence. The intelligence comes by assigning those graphics and adding the logic behind it, and that's what Eplan does from the get-go. So from a schematic perspective, you've got the digital twin of your control system, and from a Pro Panel perspective, you've got the digital twin of your control cabinet. So all of the information, the devices know on which DIN rail they are placed, the DIN rail knows exactly on which backplate is placed, and once the DIN rail is on the backplate, you know exactly where the holes are to be drilled for that particular DIN rail. So a lot more information comes with the digital twin that allows you now to leverage that data to be more efficient in the production of your control cabinet. So now instead of spending 8 hours drilling your backplate, now you can just send the data to an automated drilling machine or a CNC machine, and now it can drill the backplate automatically for you. Instead of 8 hours, it's down to half an hour or even maybe just barely an hour. So all of those efficiencies, by having a digital twin, are now there by using the right tools.
Very cool. So I wanted to kind of take that question a step further, and I wanted to ask you both, like, where do you think controls design is headed in the future? What's like the next step?
Kim, you want to go on that one first?
Let's let you take a shot at that one first.
Okay. Well, control, if you look at the way that controls have evolved over the years, you used to have a machine which had one drive, maybe two sensors, and a PLC and HMI, and it was very simplistic. Now, machines want to be or have to be more and more efficient, so you need to get more and more feedback on the machine. You have to be more and more precise on the movement of the machine. So instead of having one motor, now you'll suddenly have 10 motors. And instead of having two sensors, now you'll have 100 sensors on the machine. You'll be feeding information from the machine back into the, maybe even into the cloud. So the controls become more and more, not complex in a sense, but you have a lot more electrical or electronic actuators and sensors. And of course, to be able to manage that amount of sensors, you need the tools to do it. And the CAD systems are fine today if you like have maybe 10 pages or 20 pages of drawings. But now you'll have systems with hundreds to thousands of pages of controls design, and you need the right tools to be able to manage those. And that's, from my perspective, I think you really need to look at the way you work today and to reassess the fact that CAD is the wrong tool for the job at hand. And you need to move on to more sophisticated tools that are going to help you in the long run.
Yeah, and I think in addition to that, what a lot of people find is super helpful when using a tool, when using Eplan as your electrical tool, is your maintenance. Once you build this huge complex machine for any industry really, and you have all these controls on the machine, downtime is very important for operators, for users, for everyone. So when you do, I mean, it's inevitable, but, managing it is where the solution comes in. And like we were talking about digital twin and having an intelligent product, instead of coming into maintenance a machine like that and looking through 400 pages of schematics to figure out how this machine was built and how it works, you have it digitalized. You have a true twin of it so that you can review all that, and it just makes things go quicker and inevitably cuts down downtime.
Awesome. Well, looks like we're running out of time, but I just wanted to say thank you to both of you for helping us better understand not only what Eplan is, but also how it helps people design and work more efficiently. Now, before we leave, one last question I have is, are there any suggestions you guys have as to where visitors should go check out the booth at Eplan during Rockwell?
Yeah, I think that, definitely go check out the booth. There's a couple of great tools that I love on the booth. There's one called Documents and Presentations. I think that gives you a nice little fold-out pamphlet of what Eplan is, who they are. There's a lot of demos going on this week. We have some great demos for all the panel shops out there throughout all week, showing you that 3D visual of what Sean was talking about. And of course, you can always go to our website, eplanusa.com, and you'll find us there, and reach out to any one of our salespeople. Again, my name is Kim Schroeder. So feel free.
Well, thank you both so much, and I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day. Like Kim mentioned, if you guys have any questions, please visit us at the booth or visit us online at eplanusa.com, and one of our consultants will be happy to help you. Well, with that being said, thank you guys so much, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you, Hannah, and enjoy the show, even virtually.
Yes.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Eplan Live. My name is Hanan. I'll be your host. And today I have with me Narelle as well as Reem from Eplan USA. How are you guys?
Good. How are you?
Excellent. Can't complain. I believe Reem is having some trouble connecting to the audio, so that's okay, Reem. One thing I wanted to ask you guys is, first of all, a little introduction as to what you guys do at Eplan and what Eplan is all about.
Okay. My name is Narelle Safi. I'm a technical consultant here at Eplan Software and Services. I joined Eplan a little bit over 3 years ago. I came from a background of a control system engineer, and I graduated from the University of Illinois with an electrical engineering degree. Yeah, this is a little bit about me. Since my colleagues Reem is not able to connect to the audio, Hanan, you could give us a little bit about Reem?
Sure, absolutely. So what was that question again? I'm so sorry, Narelle. Your audio kind of cut out.
Okay, can you tell us a little bit about Reem since she cannot connect to the audio?
Absolutely. So Reem is actually one of our account managers based off in Houston, and she deals with a lot of customers on pretty much throughout the globe. I mean, throughout the country. So she's a fantastic resource for Eplan USA. She deals with multiple customers throughout and helps them answer any questions that may arise through their Eplan process and journey. So with that being said, I kind of wanted to ask you, Narelle, on the topic of the current climate, like I know in the current climate, it's difficult for companies to have their full team members on board at once. So how does Eplan help companies become more efficient in today's market?
So the thing is with Eplan, it fits in the company platform. So with the variety of the softwares that we have, it helps to ease the process of communications between several departments, even when they are far away from each other. Of course, that's with the help of our cloud solution and the Eplan software platforms and the standardization that Eplan has.
Got it. So with that being said, what are some current like challenges like people face without, for example, like if I'm a company and I need to have like a certain management process, how do I help overcome that if my team's not there? Or how am I able to communicate with them better, especially right now?
Yes. So Eplan, just like I mentioned, with the variety of the software that it has, it's each piece of this platform is designed for a specific department of who specific department that's involved in creating the project. With the help of our cloud solution, the project will be on the cloud, and all the departments will be taking a look and making a review on this project. This is one way of doing it. Also, another way of doing it, it could be stored on a local server where all these departments from engineering departments, control system departments, and manufacturing departments, they can access that project and make modification to the project and take a look at the latest versions that the engineer is doing on this project. They can make comments, and these comments could automatically pop up on the engineer platforms as a notification.
So in a way, it helps kind of like streamline the entire process. So
exactly.
Gotcha. And I know you mentioned the cloud. Can you kind of elaborate on what exactly the cloud consists of and what's available on the cloud?
Of course. So the ePulse cloud solution that's provided with Eplan, one of the branches there, it's eView. As an engineer, once the project is on the process or once the project is complete, I can upload that project into the cloud solution and make an organization with a link that I can send to my colleagues or to the clients that I work for, or to the clients that this project is belonging to, and that clients or my colleagues could view this project just like they are viewing it on an Eplan platform. They can make comments, they could click on links, they can view parts that it's used in that project, and that will direct them either on our data portal or it will take them to the manufacturer website to get more data from behind that parts that it's used in the schematics project. They can also do some revisions on that. So if in case they need to do modification, they can put these comments into the project. The engineers on the other side, they will get a notification on Eplan platform, and they will be able to take a look at these comments, do the modification, and track the history of the change. So this is a very important thing. They be able to track the history, and the history will be saved and stored on the cloud solution.
So two things I wanted to ask you further. I know you mentioned the topic of the data portal. That's one. I wanted to kind of ask you what's on the data portal. What exactly is the data portal, first of all?
Okay. So the data portal is an application that's provided by Eplan. It's embedded into our software or our platform. You can, all the manufacturers that partners with Eplan, for example, Allen Bradley and Rockwell's, they upload their parts on the data portal. You as a user, you could go search for these parts on the data portal, and you can import these parts into your internal library. That is the process from go ahead and creating the parts from scratch. And you are 100% sure, since you are importing this part from the manufacturer itself, that all the data behind that parts is most likely is 100% accurate.
Got it. And my second question, Nora, was the topic of just the streamlining this process, right, of communication. Other than communication, how does Eplan help a customer, like in terms of financial stability?
I just wanted to add.
Oh, hello. Welcome back.
Hey, yeah, just jumped in. Thank you. So just to add to what Norel mentioned, that's one of the main benefits actually that Eplan provides to the customers, is the fact that there is that communication and collaboration either between engineers or even departments. And it's one of the main things that try to push out there to the electrical engineer, very efficient. So that's one of the key things that our customer will take advantage of. The quality of the data is better too, because everything is streamlined and everything is stored on a cloud basis. So you don't have that human errors in between. So the schematics are not touched by many engineers making modifications here and there. It's actually within a very secured environment. And also on the shop floor, whenever you're making changes on the shop floor, you can send that back directly to the electrical engineer to update the schematics. So that seamless process is one of the main benefits that you can get out of ePlan.
Awesome. Well, thank you for helping me better understand the process. And another question I had for you both was, like, who is ePlan for? I understand what ePlan does and the benefits, but what kind of customers do you guys deal with day in and day out?
Well, that's really a good question, because we hear that a lot from not the customers, but actually from people who are not fully aware about what we do. They think that ePlan as an advanced solution might be only a good fit for bigger companies, which is not true. So ePlan can be used by a freelancer, for example, just a one-man show. He's doing his own schematics and providing services for companies. And a lot of our customers are actually like that. They use ePlan, they own their own companies, and they only do schematics as a service. It can be used by small panel shops that only producing few panels a year, and it can be used by corporates on a very advanced level. And Nori will explain it further on the technical side. It's a platform. It's not only one software that is good for everyone. It's a platform, and it's tailored actually based on your needs and what's going to fit you better. And of course, Nora will give the technical side of it better than me.
Okay, yeah, just thank you for that, Reem. Just to continue adding to the information that you provided, ePlan as a platform is not one solution for one company. We have several software in this platform. We have the pre-planning that serves the PNIDs and other type of drawing for processing design. We have the PH that does the electrical design schematics, the fluid, the pro panel, where you can see the 3D representation of your panel prior to sending it to manufacturing. We have Harness Pro D, we have Cogeneer, all these softwares as a whole, as a group, will fit you in one way or other. Of course, you're not going to be able to figure out which one of these software is the best fit for you. So here at ePlan, we can make several visits to your facilities to understand the process from A to Z of designing your project, to understand your business. And based on that, we can do an analysis or an assessment to see which of these software fit the best into your business. And based on that, we be able to provide you with numbers to show how much ePlan could increase in your efficiencies, also increase in saving times, also decreasing the expenses that's lost here and there. And of course, with that being said, ePlan as a platform will give put each person in the right position. So engineers will be doing engineering works instead of keep walking back and forth to production to try to troubleshoot a cabinet. This is not their job. Their job is to design and build, and engineers, this is their job. So production will be more happy of receiving fully detailed documents about the project to ease the process of building, and error-free documents that ease the process of building the cabinets and the system.
Got it. So pretty much it's kind of it's a solution that's tailor made to fit your workflow and your needs, pretty much.
Definitely.
Got it. And one more question I had regarding this topic is we understand the benefits of what ePlan offers, and I wanted to ask, like, what are some of the current market challenges a lot of companies are facing in your industry? Like, other than communication, what are some, I guess, some common things that companies go through, like that are considered bottlenecks that we may help them overcome?
Okay, so I worked with several companies as a consultant. I can easily point several points right now, but the list keeps going on and on. So one of the main thing is standardization. ePlan is big fan of standardization. One of the company that I worked with, each engineer designed the project based on how he like it or what it would be the best way of doing it. Of course, it will make the job more difficult for the production floor to start reading these schematics. Think about the schematics as a language. If everyone start using their own words, it's hard to understand that language. So we need to have a common ground for everyone to understand this language. This is one thing that ePlan will help you come and achieve the standard way of designing. And of course, with a help of the IEC standard and the NFPA standard, which is mostly used in North America, Mexico, United States, and Canada. This is one thing. Another thing that ePlan could help you, or another thing that I see that customers struggle of having it, is documentation. Either the documentation is not there at all, or it takes tons of times to create these documentation. I'm talking about here a bill of material. Every company, once their project is done, they want to generate a bill of material, or they want to create a bill of material, or a connection list where you can see each individual wire with a source and a target, a length, and a gauge. So these type of documentation, ePlan will generate it for you automatically. So once the project is done, you don't have to spend time on creating a bill of material that's full with parts that humans makes mistakes. Yeah, so I'm sure at some point.
Yeah, exactly. That would take us the next point. That whenever we're talking in a general way, whenever we're talking to companies, you'll always hear them talking about either issues when it comes to the quality, to the cost, or the time. So the quality, like Noel said, can be a BOM full of mistakes, full of errors done by humans. So we understand that. We've been there too. And a lot of our engineers been there and suffered from the quality issues when it comes to a BOM, when it comes to schematics or a drawing or a red line. Exactly. So, and that's a good point too, because we work with electrical engineers and they have enough knowledge and they've suffered enough to help the customers overcome those challenges. Whenever we're talking errors, we're talking costs that's increasing. We're talking about wasted money that we're wasting on the shop floor, in the engineering department, and the time that these engineers are sitting behind their computers, frustrated trying to resolve an issue related to one wire that someone on the shop floor decided to put somewhere else. So yeah, those are three main points that we focus on, not only as a software, but also as a team. So we work on the quality again, we work on the cost, we try to improve the time, reduce the time to market. Those major three pillars will enable our customers to succeed somehow or another.
Just adding one more thing, as speaking of not 100% perfect bill of material. Not just that. If you think about it, one time I visited a client, and the way that they build their panel is they build it like 3 or 4 times every time they try to build it. And the way that they're doing it is They bring the panel and they lay out all the components. And if the components doesn't fit, they have to scrap the entire project and then send the panel and wait for another or a different size of a panel and start building it all over again. With Pro Panel, with Eplan Pro Panel, you have a digital twin. Before you release that project to the production floor, you have an exact image or exact 3D layout of your cabinet prior to sending it to production floor. You make sure that all the drilling data is there. You make sure that your door closed, all the components is fitting, and and also you'll be able to calculate the wire length from the routing functionality that Eplan has.
So you guys,
and let's not forget the fact that it communicates with other software and production machines as well. If you have the wire link and data, you can connect it to a wire terminal, for example, and fabricate your wires, and they'll be ready to go. So yeah, just now that you're saying that, I remember things that we're able to do with Eplan.
Yeah, I think it's 20 minutes is not enough to talk about Eplan and how Eplan as a solution could fit anybody and ease the process of overcome the challenges that they face on a daily basis.
So a question for you both. I know we're running out of time here, but if customers are interested in learning more about Eplan or the solutions that we offer, are there any resources that they can attend or any type of trainings that we offer? That's one question I have. And also another question I wanted to ask is, with our booth here at the Rockwell Automation Fair, what are some suggestions you guys have in terms of today's topic? Where should visitors go check out? Any topics?
I would always recommend to check the live chat and the live video talks with our experts, because we have experts like Norel, engineers who know what they're doing, and they're doing it on a daily basis to help out other engineers. Let's not forget that the Eplan engineers, they meet customers every day, different types of customers. So they gather that knowledge and they are capable of helping you, if not by using the tool, then by just updating and making your processes more efficient.
Awesome. Well, I just wanted to say thank you to both of you for joining on today and helping us better understand Eplan as a whole, as well as the overall efficiencies that we offer. So thank you, and I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day, and look forward to seeing you at the booth.
Thank you.
Have a good one, guys.
It was a pleasure. Thank you.
Bye.
Hi, my name is Jessica Nielsen. I'm the marketing specialist here at Eplan USA. Today I'm here with a couple of my coworkers, Christopher and Bart, to discuss how Eplan is helping customers navigate through this remote world that we find ourselves in during this pandemic. I'll let you guys introduce yourself and then we'll get started into our topic.
Hi, my name is Christopher Aldred. I'm an application engineer with Eplan USA. I specialize in the P8, ProPanel, and PLM integration suite applications on the Eplan platform.
And I'm Bart Nieber. I'm an account manager with Eplan, and I cover the upper Midwest. And I work with our customers both direct and then also through our distribution network as well.
Great, thanks. All right, so let's get started here because I know we're short on time. So we know every industry is facing a lot of challenges right now because of the pandemic. Can you guys briefly discuss how Eplan can help with the current market challenges as well as what people can expect from Eplan?
Sure. So when the pandemic started, one of the first things that people were concerned about was how are they going to actually get any work done when they're away from the office. Eplan, at its core, is a multi-user platform and has the capability to allow people to work from either an office or remotely. If you're the situation where you need to log into or grab a license from an existing license manager, the Eplan license manager allows you to do that by using the borrow function. other remote work can be accomplished by just using a simple virtual machine or logging into a virtual machine.
Yeah, and to go along with that too, during this, during the whole pandemic, ePlan made a major shift as far as moving all of our services to be offered remotely as well. So for the training courses, which had previously all been done at a customer facility or on site at an ePlan facility, those are now offered remotely. And also the consulting services that we offer. So whether it be the initial implementation or ongoing consulting that we offer.
Right, and so to touch on some of the coursework and how we do that remotely, and when we would have a 4.5 day course for some of the primary application suites like P8, ProPanel. We have a multi-day course that addresses all the individual elements of how to get started in that element. For example, with P8, you would start out just basically how to navigate throughout the ePlan environment and work your way towards a complete project. And what we found that we were able to pretty seamlessly convert that to a virtual format. We have students from across the country, multiple different time zones, all logging into either a WebEx or a Zoom type meeting, and we were able to convey not only the coursework but also work on exercises remotely.
Yeah, and one of the great things is, with the shift to remote is it actually adds a lot of flexibility for the students. So where previously they would be, in a classroom for 4 days a week, or things like that, where now they're able to kind of split that time up where it's sessions throughout the morning, and the sessions are split up a little more where they can still do their day-to-day tasks as well. So it's not taking them out of the office. It's also nice because it's a virtual classroom, so it's not just canned videos or things like that. It's actually instructor-led still, which is very important to our customers.
So you guys kind of touched on what the training sessions entail, but can you dive a little deeper into what a normal day looks like? What topics you go over? How long are the courses? Just a couple more details for our viewers.
Well, a typical day in a course, on site used to run around, was a full day of work between 6 to 8 hours, with a few breaks in between. The coursework itself started with, like I mentioned before, basically a call and response. So the instructor would do an example, the students would perform it, and everybody would compare results. We found that with a virtual environment, it's actually a little bit easier for people who normally are a little hesitant to call out and ask a question of somebody. They find that, or we found that those people have an easier time. You don't have to, the anonymity of a virtual environment allows people to contribute and participate in a class a little bit easier than they would in real life. Like I mentioned before, each day of classwork is broken down into various chapters, all building towards the completion of a project. And so with each little chapter, there's some theory, an example, and then a small lab session. All of that can be accomplished in a virtual environment as well.
Okay, and if someone is interested in taking the training courses, how do they schedule that, or how do they enroll?
So it's a two-part process, I would say. So the first part is obviously just the portion of actually purchasing the course, and then they can either register through their account manager, so someone like ourselves, or they can go online to our training schedule and actually just submit the student information and just register for a course there. So a couple different options.
Okay, perfect. So aside from trainings, what else can ePlan do for customers virtually?
So as I mentioned earlier, Yeah, so we can do the initial implementation. We've been able to do that virtually. We can, and so whether that be setting up your project environment, and your templates, things like that. But then also the ongoing consulting that we do with customers. So one of the things that has become really popular with our customers is our ongoing coaching or consulting, where we're able to put together a cadence of meetings. And so it's one of those things that when a customer runs into a challenge, that we can address that and help them, and that they're moving forward, that they're not taking the time to have to look things up online or try to figure out on their own, that we can work with them, that it's them to keep moving forward in that journey, rather than trying to struggle through some of those things on their own.
So then how are the tools actually aligned with virtual work? Are they helping users in any way communicate better or improving their workflow? Chris, can you maybe elaborate on some of the tools we have?
Yeah, the traditional platform, as I said at the beginning, what is aligned towards multiple people working on the same project at the same time. Any number of participants can all work on the same project at one time. It can be carved off into several little sub-projects. And now with the advent of our ePulse and eView cloud-based solutions, we can also send ePlan work to people who don't necessarily have ePlan. So an operator or a user can communicate between either a vendor or a customer by uploading a project or a kind of a skin of a project to the cloud, and allow however many people that he or she wants to view it by use of this eView cloud. You can allow people to do markups, do approvals, see a complete list of parts associated with it in both the 2D and 3D environments. And to sign up for this service right now is free. eView is a free service offered by ePlan.
Okay. So I know ePulse has a couple of different components that you briefly mentioned. So we have eView, but we also have the data portal. Can you tell exactly what the data portal is? I know you touched on it a little bit in your last answer.
Right. So the data portal is a collaborative effort between ePlan and manufacturers throughout the world. Anybody who can supply industrial control components participates in the data portal program can put their manufacturing data into one place where ePlan users can access it and bring those parts and components directly into their ePlan projects without having to sift through lots of different data sheets or different sources. It's all in one place, and they're able to populate their design a lot faster, and you can be sure that you'll always have the latest version of the part or component.
So obviously we've talked about a lot of different tools and everything that the platform is, but who is ePlan actually for? Like, what industries can use our software?
So I would say it's not ePlan is not a one-size-fits-all type of software. So anyone from, it may be a company that has only one person that's doing electrical design. It may be a person that has 100 people or more doing electrical design. It can really benefit any of those people. So the great thing is that the whole goal is to become more efficient. So that's going to apply to every company, regardless of size.
And just to jump off on that, so anybody who's involved with industrial control can benefit from ePlan. Anybody who designs in the fluid, pneumatic, hydraulic, process ID realm can use ePlan to build their entire design in multiple representations, 2D, 3D, just complete database-driven design, and all in one platform, branching out to multiple different disciplines.
Great. Well, I think That was a really solid overview of what ePlan is in a very condensed amount of time. I hope that was helpful for all of our viewers. Before I let you guys go, do you have any recommendations of where Automation Fair attendees should maybe start in the ePlan virtual booth to get a better grasp of what ePlan is and kind of educate themselves further on what we offer?
I would.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I would say I think my favorite part of the booth is actually this channel. So I think it's tuning into all these chats and live overviews where they can get a little bit better understanding of what all ePlan can do. There's a lot. Even though it's Thursday, there's still a whole nother day full of these, and so hope people tune in.
Same answer. I think at this point, any one of the events available on the in the booth would be interesting to anybody involved in industrial control design.
Perfect. All right. Well, thank you both so much for taking the time to chat with me. I hope that the viewers gained a lot from this short discussion we had. If anyone out there has any questions, please reach out within the live chat. One of our ePlan experts will get back to you immediately. And yeah, stop by our booth to get some more information. And thanks for watching our channel. All right, I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.
All right.
Hello, my name is Debbie Raimundo, and I am the marketing lead for ePlan USA. One of the great things about working at ePlan is all of the incredible, smart and talented people that I get to work with every day, even if it's just remotely right now, include not only here in the US, but globally as well. And it's really cool to be able to bounce ideas off of each other, learn best practices, as well as hear some really great customer stories worldwide. So anyway, have a great Rockwell Automation Fair at home, and be sure to stop by the ePlan booth. See you later.
Hey, I'm Johnny Wilson. I work for ePlan USA. I'm based out of Seattle. My favorite part for working for ePlan is that I get to work with new customers with having new challenges every single day. And it's great discussing their problems and delivering a solution that is custom and bespoke to that customer in particular. The coolest benefit from working with ePlan is I get to take away the manual and laborious tasks away from the engineer, and he can focus on better tasks in his engineering.
Hi, my name is Roger. I've been with ePlan for almost a year now, and I am an account manager for Ohio and Kentucky. What I have seen at ePlan that makes this job really fun is that when I call up a customer, whether it's somebody I've known for a while or somebody brand new to me, they're anxious to hear how we can help them improve their engineering efficiency. That makes my job a lot easier and a lot more fun when somebody actually wants to talk to you instead of just they think you're trying to sell them a product. So that's been great for me. When I met all the people in the office in Schaumburg, I was really warmly greeted. They were excited to have somebody new building business for us and just a different face in the organization. And it's been really fun to work with all these people because we've even had some Friday happy hours virtually, and it's really been fun to get to know everybody. During this virtual world of business, one thing I've learned is that people are a little more down to earth and informal. And that's actually been kind of fun. You see people's dog running, you hear dogs, or you see the kid run by in the video, or you see personal things behind people like here. And that's actually been kind of fun. It helps people open up and be a little more relaxed. One of the things that I've seen in ePlan is we have support engineers, consultants, and salespeople all throughout the country. And what I've learned is that it doesn't matter where they're located. Our support has been just as good with a consultant in Texas and an engineer in Oregon, or somebody here in our local office in the Detroit area. It doesn't matter. We're getting the same level of support for customers, and they're very happy with that so far. I would suggest initially checking out the Watch ePlan Live, because that's where you're going to see some of our consultants and engineers actually showing you how to do things and how ePlan works. And that'll give you probably your best exposure to what ePlan is all about, how it can help you. All right, well, thanks for visiting the ePlan booth, and we hope you really have getting a lot of knowledge from this, and come back to us for any help you need and additional information.
Hola, buen día. Mi nombre es Viridiana Blanco. Soy gerente de marketing para ePlan Hispanoamérica. Estoy muy contenta de participar en Rockwell Automation Fair at Home y que también ustedes estén aquí con nosotros. Para ePlan es muy importante la colaboración no solo a nivel local, sino a nivel internacional. Y la participación en eventos como este, pues es un claro ejemplo de ello. Les comento que vamos a estar en el stand de ePlan de forma virtual. También pueden acceder al chat para cualquier pregunta o duda que tengan, colocarla ahí y estaremos atendiéndola. Les deseo un gran evento y bienvenidos nuevamente.
Hello everybody, my name is Amado Mari. I'm a business exploration manager here at ePlan USA. My favorite part about working at ePlan is the energy. ePlan is a very lively place with all sorts of innovation happening across almost every facet of the organization. We think this is because of you, our customers, our prospects, our partners, and this is all of the energy that you bring to us that make this place such a great place to work. Thank you for that. I know it's been a challenging year. I hope you guys are enjoying the fair. I'm sure there's a lot of really great content coming up from Rockwell Automation and Rockwell Automation's partners. We hope you visit us at the ePlan booth, and we hope to see you soon. Thank you very much.
Sean O'Brien. I'm sales manager at Eplan USA, representing the Eastern United States, and I'm based in the Detroit, Michigan office. Been with Eplan almost a year now. And what impressed me most about ePlan when I joined is the amount of experience that we have on our team here. I mean, we have some really experienced, seasoned individuals, and at times it seems like we're almost a consulting organization and not a software organization. And we're able to really have deep discussions with our customers, and sometimes it seems like we know as much or more about our customers' business than they do sometimes. So I think that's really cool and really unique about ePlan.
I'm Johnny Wilson, and welcome to the August edition of the top 5 questions that was submitted to the ePlan Solution Center. How can I draw a structure box with a recess? So I've got 2 structure boxes. The one on the left shows the designation in the structure box recessed with 90 degrees here. So how do I make the one on the right look like the same? So we need to check some settings first. So if you go to the options and then settings, and then we're just going to go to the project and then the name of the project, and then in graphical editing under the general tab, we want to make sure the draw structure box with the recess is checked. So once that is done, then I just double click on the structure box, and then I change the value from the left top outside at 0 degrees to the left top inside at 90 degrees like so. So if I click OK, then you can see that this now matches up. To make this setting apply for all the new structure boxes I inserted, I can just double click on it and I can just toggle one of the values. So I like to just change this from bold and then uncheck it, and you can see that now I can save this. So I'm going to give it a new name, so I'm going to call it demo default here. And then if I use it as default from now on and click OK, And if it already exists, you can overwrite it like so. If I click OK, then I can insert a new structure box. I'm just going to give it the same name, so I'm going to call it skid and click OK. So you can now see that this one inserts like the other ones do. How can I create a macro project? So to create a macro project, the easiest way is to take a copy of the project you are working on. So here I'm going to go project and then copy. And then I'm going to give it a name, and I'm going to call this top 5 macros. And then I'm just going to go for only interactive pages and then click OK. And now I've got a copy of the project. The only thing I need to change to make this into a macro project is to right click and go to properties and change the type of project from schematic to macro project. When I insert an accessory in Pro Panel, how do I change the orientation? So I'm going to drag this terminal cover in here and snap it to the top, and you can see that the rotation of this accessory is correct. If I try and place it on the bottom, you can see that it does not rotate as expected. So you can manually rotate this by pressing Ctrl, Shift and R and press it again to get it upside down. And then when I place it, you can see it's going to snap there correctly. We can make an adjustment to this macro, so it will always place the accessory in the correct orientation. So to do this, what I can do is I can cut this device from the cabinet, and it's going to ask me for a base point. I'm just going to use this one here. And then if I jump to my macro project, which I've got open here, I can go into this new layout space I have created and then just paste it. So it's going to ask me for a base point. It doesn't matter where this is. I'm just going to place it here. And then in the macro project, it's going to show me all the different mounting points on this device. And I can see this bottom one is the one I want to work with. And I can see that the Z-axis is pointing up and away from the device, and then the Y-axis goes up, and this one, the X-axis, goes to the right. So to rotate this, we can just click on the mounting point and go to Edit, Graphic, and then Rotate Around Axis. So the axis I want it to rotate around is the Z-axis, so I'm just going to click this one here and type 180 degrees. So once I do that, you can see the Y-axis is now pointing down, so when I insert the accessory, it will be placed in the downwards orientation. So once I've done that, I can right click and go on properties, and I'm just going to grab the macro name here. So I'm just going to select it all and copy, and then I'm going to go to this new layout space and go to properties down here. I'm just going to paste it in the macro name here. So I'm going to paste the name here also, and this is just because I like to organize it by the actual file name. So I'm going to hit OK. And then once I've done that, I can regenerate this macro. So I can go to project data, macros, generate automatically. Make sure you got the overwrite existing macro box checked and click OK. So now when I go back to my demo project and I place that same device, so if I go to devices, mine was MCB109, I can drag that over like so. And now when I place that terminal cover, I can see that it snaps correctly here and also here. So I don't need to manually rotate it now in the future. I've made changes to a macro, but when I insert the macro, I do not see these changes. I have a simple macro here, and I'm just going to regenerate it by going to project data, macros, and generate automatically. Notice this is variant A. I'm going to go to my schematic project and insert this macro, and then place it here. I'm going to update this macro by taking a copy of it, and then I'm going to paste it below here. I'm going to make a simple modification to it. I'm going to make it 2 lights and wire these ones up here. Like so. I'm going to change the variant to variant B. And then I'm going to regenerate variant B. When I insert this new macro, I should have the options of variant A and variant B, but notice how variant B does not have the additional light. So what is going on? So if I go back to my macro project, I can click on the macro box and right click and go to select associated objects. As you see, only this first circuit is highlighted, so that is what is included in the macro box. We have a few options to correct this. One way is to select everything inside the macro box, like so, and then right click on the macro box and go to assign objects to macro box. So now when I right click on the macro box and go to select associated objects, you can see everything is highlighted. We can also do it a different way. So if I go back a step and change this back to B, and I do my select associated objects again, I'm back to my previous step. So another option is to double click on the macro box and to change this setting here, so manual object assignment. If I uncheck that, Eplan will automatically include everything that is inside the macro box. So if I go to select associated objects here, everything is now included. So I can regenerate variant B by going to project data, macros, generate automatically. Okay, so now when I reinsert the macro, it should be functioning as I expect. So here's variant A and there is variant B. When I insert a macro with a placeholder object, how can I delete or hide these? So here I have a macro that I inserted from the data pool. It came with two placeholder objects that I can use to adjust certain values on this macro. Sometimes it's desirable to hide these, and to do that, the easiest way is to change the layer visibility. So to do that, let's go to the project data and then layer management. And the two layers that we're interested in is the macro layer here, so Eplan2020 and the placeholder object. So if I just scroll across to the right here and uncheck the visibility, and then also the property placement for the placeholder object down here, and this is Eplan551. I just scroll across and change the visibility, and then I can close out there, and as you can see they now turn gray. And if I go to view and then turn off invisible elements, now they are hidden.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Rockwell Automation Fair at Home. And today's presentation will be about the application of Eplan solutions in the food and beverage industry, using Eplan pre-planning and Eplan Fluid as the two solutions to get you started quickly and efficiently. My name is Sean Mulherin. I've been with Eplan for over 25 years now, and currently working for the product management responsible for Eplan pre-planning and Eplan Electric P8, as well as Eplan Fluid. So let's get started. First off, I'll just give you a brief introduction of Eplan pre-planning and getting a better understanding of what the purpose of that software is. When we talk about Eplan pre-planning, we use it as an application to start capturing information up front. And in the food and beverage industry, a requirement is to design PFDs, process flow diagrams, and PNIDs, process and instrumentation diagrams. So using ePlan pre-planning, you can cover those tasks, and you can also generate data sheets, generate specification sheets. You can structure your data. You can use the system for quoting and capture all of the information you need to start your controls design. Pre-planning can help you capture right up front all of your elements for process flow diagrams, such as define your tanks, all of the parameters associated with those tanks, identify what type of tanks you have, as well as the piping between those tanks to carry the various substances from the different mixing and processing tanks. Then you can capture all of your actuators, which are the devices that help you to carry the substance from one tank to another, such as your pumps, as well as your valves. Some of these valves are pneumatically actuated, where ePlan fluid comes in to control all of the airflow to those specific actuators. Pre-planning also allows you to capture all of your sensors, all of your temperature sensors, your pressure sensors, your level sensors, your flow sensors, all of the sensors that help you monitor and also control your process system. And once those items have been captured, you can also use pre-planning to tie them all into instrumentation devices. So linking the actuators, so the pumps or the valves, with the temperature sensors or the pressure sensors in any given device to make sure that the process is correct. The huge benefit of pre-planning is not only can you capture your graphical information in the design, so while you're creating your PNIDs, you capture information, but on top of that, you can structure that data within pre-planning. And you can see here you have your storage area, tank farm, storage tank edition 1, you've got your pumps, you've got your valves, you've got your level controllers, you've got your level indicators with alarms. So everything can be designed in a structured environment easily and conveniently using your graphical design. Additionally, if you have data already stored in Excel sheets, such as instrumentation lists or device lists, equipment lists, signal lists, all of those types of lists can easily be imported in ePlan and used as a starting point for your design or a starting point for information into your detail engineering. Here we can see a structured view capturing all of your I/O requirements. So signals, whether it's inputs or outputs, digital or analog, can already be captured early on in the process design system and made available for your control systems later on. Additionally, importing the data, as I just mentioned, from external sources can help you also create data for your system easily in a structured environment. Pre-planning provides you the option to generate reports. So data sheets, specification sheets, equipment lists, cost estimation, signal list, all these types of reports that are today typically captured in Excel or using Word documents. You can easily generate these reports in ePlan and then use those reports further down the line or use them with your supply chain if needed. ePlan pre-planning can also be used as a quoting tool, meaning that once I've created my PNID or I've imported data using my structure, I can report this data and summarize all of the requirements, such as identify how many IOs do I need, digital, analog, or also calculate the planning time, the costing time, or the construction time, or the software programming time and the total cost. These can all then be added in a report and used for quoting purposes to get an understanding of how much that system is going to cost. So at the end of the day, pre-planning would be your tool in the food and beverage industry to help you design your process control system. Let's jump into the software and see how that works live. Here I am in the ePlan platform environment. I've opened up ePlan and now I'm ready to start my design. So first off, we've got different types of pages, whether you want to capture your PNIDs, your electrical schematics, your pneumatic diagrams. Here we're going to start with our process control systems. So I could, of course, start inserting my symbols and start building up my design using symbols that are standard out of the box in ePlan. So here we've got our PNID library with symbols for process and instrumentation diagrams. And these symbols can easily be inserted in your drawing. Here we've got our electrical engineering symbols. These are all of the actuators. Then we've got our fluid power symbols, which are pneumatic or hydraulic actuators. And here we've got our process and engineering symbols, which are all of our symbols, such as valves, such as piping components, such as engines, and so on. All of these symbols can easily be selected and then inserted into the drawing to start your design. However, Eplan provides you with a much easier and quicker approach to start your design. This is called the macro technology. The macro technology is a collection of symbols that have already been created and combined to a specific circuit. Let's say I need a tank. So I'm going to insert a macro. This macro contains a tank with already predefined valves and ports. So let's take a look at this tank with 3 ports. And there's my graphical view of that tank that I can easily now drop into my pre-planning structure. Here is my process system 1. So it carries with it some level sensors. It carries with it some the tank and also some air control valves. So these are my pneumatic valves with my pneumatic actuators. I'm going to bring in that system in here, and I'm going to add it to my design environment. So this is one way of really quickly and easily starting off your P&IDs by inserting already predefined sections. So now I've got my air control valves, I've got my level sensors inside the tank, and under the level sensors you can also see that I have my level functions associated with them. And if I synchronize the data, I can easily see this information available in the tree. Each one of these objects can carry any type of data to help you reporting or also managing that data for your design environment. So here you can put cost of construction, of planning, of software if you want to. You can add technical values such as minimum, maximum values, state of aggregation, type of substance, and so on. Then I'm going to insert a pump. I need to carry my substance into the tank using a pump. So I'm going to insert a Windows macro. This is this time not going to be my tank, it's going to be a pump. And this pump, using the tab key in Eplan, you can actually carry up to 26 different variations of the pump. So here I'm just going to drop a pump for my supplement process. So this is this one here. I'm going to add it here to my process 1. And I'm going to carry another pump for the main ingredient up here. And then using my connecting symbols, you can see that the system automatically places the lines and you don't have to do anything additional. Then I'm going to insert a substance. So identify the substance that I want to pump into my tank. So here's my substance. So I have a supplement here. Bringing this, and this also brings with it all of the piping information. So what type of pipe is needed? Is it stainless steel? What the size of the pipe is going to be? What the class and everything additional associated with it. Here's my second piping definition coming with it and defining that particular environment. So as you can see, creating P&IDs is really easy by simply using the macro technology in Eplan, helping you lay out your data structure. Now, I've created a P&ID. Now I'd like to design the control system for these particular valves. As I mentioned earlier on, it's the tie-in between Eplan pre-planning, which is your P&ID and your structure, and Eplan fluid. So now in this case, behind each valve, I've also got the valve actuator, which is my pneumatic actuator. And if I look at this actuator, I look at the properties of that actuator, I have some data, but I also have a macro. And this macro allows me to simply drag and drop my pneumatic control system directly into my design. So here is that control system associated to that valve. But before that, I need an air preparation unit. So let's insert an enclosure. I'm going to delete this one here. And let's just insert an enclosure into my system. So insert pre-planning macro. It's going to be my enclosure system. This enclosure system, via drag and drop, I'm going to create my electrical power supply. So you can see here, I've got my power supply. Then I'm going to create a new pneumatic air preparation unit. So here's my pre-planning object. This is going to be PNE1. It's going to be my air preparation unit. And behind this air preparation unit, I'm going to store the macros or the design needed for that particular system. So here again, I'm going to use the macro technology in Eplan to help quickly and easily lay out that particular system. So if I go here to my PNID, my machine layout, pneumatic. There we go. My air preparation unit is right here. Okay, so now I've associated the circuit diagram to this object, and now all I need to do is take this air preparation unit, drag it into my system, and here we have my air preparation unit with all of the pneumatic controls, as well as my beginning for my valve manifold. So there's the start of my valve manifold, there's the end of my valve manifold, and now I'm going to link it up with all of the air control valves that I've placed in my PNID. So if I open up the PNID and I look up those three different pneumatic controls, so I'm going to select them, and via drag and drop, I can just drop them into my system, and now you can see my process system 1 now has my air control valve, AC3. There's my supplement inlet valve, and it's connected to my valve manifold, and it's connected also to an I/O. So using pre-planning allows you to create your objects up front for your PNID, but also capture the objects that you'll need for your pneumatic system, and via drag and drop, easily integrate these designs into your detail engineering. Hence, making it a lot easier to quickly create your PNIDs as well as your pneumatic control system. So that was a brief view or introduction to pre-planning using pre-planning and Eplan Fluid for food and beverage applications and streamlining your controls design. So from my side, Sean Mulheron, thank you very much for attending this presentation, and I hope you're going to enjoy the rest of the automation fair at home, and make sure to check out the live Eplan content. There's a lot more to see. Thank you very much.
Now let me demonstrate how automatic routing is accomplished in ProPanel. I will start by highlighting the same devices that I used from the previous example, and by clicking Route from my routing toolbar. Based on how I place these components in my schematics, ProPanel will then automatically calculate and generate these connection between the two devices. And it is based on the shortest route. The biggest benefit of this is that you get the exact length of the wire, which means a significant amount in time and cost savings. Now back to our mounting panel. Please keep in mind that it is possible to set filters on your connections and wire ducts so that only certain kinds of wires can be routed. For example, you can separate your 24-volt and 120-volt connections by making them go through a different path. If you are interested in learning more about routing, please visit our website and register to one of the online training classes that we offer. The link is provided in the description. Thank you.
In this demo, we'll talk about how to create project reports within Eplan Electric PA. So for this purpose, I have a really simple project open, and if you have a project open that you would like to create a report for, or the pages that you're working on, it's a fairly simple process. You go on Utilities, you hit on Report, and then you select Generate Project Reports. What it will do, it will select all the pages that you have within the project and create a report based off that. Once you hit that, Eplan will create the report. Based off that, it will create a title page. For instance, I was working on a grinding project. It will create the table of content, structure description, summarize part list that you have used within the project, and the connection list. If you're interested in learning more about Eplan Electric PA, please visit us online to book a virtual training. Link is in the description below. Thank you.
Hello, today I'm going to show you how to manage saddle jumpers within Eplan P8. So let's begin by inserting some terminals. Let's go to Insert Symbol and select this terminal here, which is a terminal with saddle jumper, 2 connection points. The flag indicates which is connection point 1 on this terminal. So hit OK, and then you can click and drag over all the connections. So once we've done that, Eplan will work out that we need saddle jumpers between all of the terminals since we have connections running between them. We can see this by going to the terminal strip navigator and right-clicking on the terminal strip and going to Edit. So here we can see that Eplan has automatically generated these saddle jumpers for us here. If we want to use saddle jumpers in a different way, we can delete the connections running between the terminals. And using the signal tracking tool, so if you go to View and then Signal Tracking, when we click on the connection, it'll track through and highlight in yellow where the signal runs through. So right now we're going from fuse 1 through the terminal to fuse 2. So let's uncheck signal tracking and we can go and edit the terminal strip again. So what we could do is we can highlight all the terminals where we want a saddle jumper to be placed, and using this tool up here, which is the Generate Manual Saddle Jumper button, we can hit it and we're going to generate a manual saddle jumper, and it's going to be shown in black. So when we hit OK, we can then use the signal tracking tool again, and we can see that the signal tracks between all of the terminals now. To remove it, we can edit the terminal strip and then simply highlight the manual saddle jumper and then use this Delete Manual Saddle Jumper button right here. Then hit OK. Another way to insert saddle jumpers is to adjust the symbol which Eplan is using. So to do this, we can highlight all of the terminals, and then right click and go to Properties. By looking at the function data, we can see this particular symbol has 4 connection points. If we look at the logic, we can see connection point 1 and connection point 2 are conductors and wires, and 3 and 4 are defined as saddle jumpers. This particular symbol that we're using here only has available connection point 1 and 2. So what we can do is we can switch the symbol to a symbol which displays all 4 connection points. So I'm going to use this symbol here, and now when I press OK, you can see that the saddle jumper is automatically drawn between all of the terminals. So now when we go and edit the terminal strip, we can again see the saddle jumper has automatically been created for us there. I hope this video has been helpful for you, and thank you for watching. Hello and welcome to this tech tip video. Today I'm going to show you how to manage triple tier terminals within Eplan P8. So let's begin by going to the data portal and downloading a terminal. I'm going to use this Allen Bradley terminal here. I'm going to insert it into my parts database. So now we've got the part in our database. Let's go to Insert and Device. And let's locate the part in our database, and let's take a quick look at the function template. This terminal has been broken down into each of its levels, and as you can see, each level has been assigned a number. 1 will be the lowermost level and 3 will be the uppermost level. So let's hit OK to insert the terminal. Once we've inserted the terminal, we can look at the terminal strip in the navigator. If we locate it and right click and go to edit, we can see that this multi-level terminal has been assigned 1 part number. So let's hit OK. We can also generate an entire terminal strip by right clicking and going to New Terminals, Devices. We can give it a new DT and then assign it a part number. I'm going to assign a numbering pattern. And now I'm going to tell the next terminal in this pattern. And then I'll give it the end number in this pattern. As you can see, it's given me 30 new functions since this is a 3-tier terminal, and I'm going from 1 to 10. So I'm going to hit OK. And as you can see, Eplan generates this entire terminal strip, and I can place this how I did previously. Again, if I right click and edit on this terminal strip, I can see that I've generated the entire multi-tier terminal strip here. Okay, I hope that was helpful. Thank you.
As you can see, when you insert an enclosure to your 3D space from Eplan Data Portal, it is already broken down into different representations, including the door, the floor sheets, the rear and side panels, as well as your mounting panel. For this particular case, I'm going to jump right into the front of the mounting panel, and I will show you how to insert devices into your panel using the 3D mounting layout navigator. Before I show you how to insert devices onto your mounting panel, let me very briefly show you how to easily add more wire ducts and mounting rails onto your panel. To insert a wire duct, you can click on this toolbar here, and you'll get this dialog where you can select a wire duct of your choice. And when you place this particular wire duct, you see that the mounting aids will help you snap onto a point, and all you have to do is drag it to the right and snap it again to the other side. To insert mounting rails, you have to select this icon and select the right mounting rail that fits your mounting panel. The trick here is to hit right click and adopt the length. What happens then is Eplan automatically adjusts the size of the mounting rail based on this wire duct. So if I want to place it centered between this wire duct and the wire duct right across it, what I have to do is right click again and hit place centered. From here, I have to select the other side, and then boom. ProPanel automatically inserts the mounting rail based on the center distance. Now that we have our mounting rail, we can then go ahead and insert devices onto our panel. In order to do so, we will have to utilize another navigator called the 3D Mounting Layout Navigator. This navigator consists of all the 3D representation of the parts in the project. To show you an example, let's look back at our schematic diagram here. If I want to insert this particular motor overload switch, the best way to do this is to right click and do a synchronized selection. What happens then is Eplan highlights the same component from the 3D mounting layout navigator. And then from here, you can open the mounting panel again and easily drag and drop it onto the mounting rail of your choice. If I want to insert another device, I'm going to use the same approach as I previously did. So back to my schematic diagram. If I want to insert this particular component, I would have to right click, synchronize selection. And from here, I know that this is the one that I want. So back to my mounting panel, I can then drag and drop this component onto the mounting rail of my choice. If you're interested in learning more about placing devices into your digital twin, please visit our website and register to one of the online training courses that we offer. The link is provided in the description. Thank you.